Who we going with? Jaden O'Neal or Bowe Bentley? Think you better make a decision pretty soon. We'll talk about that with Chris Mason of Sooners 360. And, of course, my Friday co-host, Marcus Dent from the Gridiron Insight, and Big Mike Boganowski right now on Rise and Shine College Football. Let's get it. Good morning, and welcome back to Rise and Shine College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. I'm here with my special guest, Chris Mason from Sooners 360, and, of course, Big Mike Boganowski, our washed D1 football player. Welcome into the show, gentlemen. What's going on? Look at there, Unc, first one in there in the chat. What's up, fellas?
What up, man? Washed. Washed is the key.
Washed, yeah. You're supposed to talk whenever I pass it to you, fella. So yeah, that would work. What's up, Mr. Mason? Welcome into the show, man.
Thank you so much. It's later here in Atlanta, so it's not quite. It's a little past Rise and Shine time, but
a little past the rooster crow.
It was about 2 hours ago, but it's great to be here this morning.
Cool deal, man. Well, it's good to see you in here. We now have our fourth member of the panel from Gridiron Insight, Mr. Marcus Dent. What's up, Coach?
Man, what's happening with you, bro? What's happening? How you guys doing?
Or what?
Yeah, he's struggling. He's on the struggle bus this morning, man.
Struggle bus late morning, bro.
Well, hey, man, I brought you guys in here to talk about some of this stuff, and I think it's timely, especially now. The other night, me and Chris Mason were on with K. Chris, and we were talking about you got to make a decision pretty soon or something. Jaden O'Neal is going to Mustang High School there in Oklahoma now. Does that spell the end of Bowe Bentley being in the recruiting side, or should it even? I'll start with you, Chris. What do you think about that?
Well, I think yes. I think Jaden O'Neal enrolling at Mustang, meaning that he's going to be a presence at every event, spring event, junior day, official visit weekend, that he's going to be, tied into the classes, and he already has been for the last year. I don't think there's a huge difference between the two guys coming out of high school, at least not so far. Maybe their senior film will tell a different tale, but at this point, I think you have to stick with the guy that you've got the verbal commitment from. And I think you probably have to go with Jaden O'Neal and let the Bowe Bentley thing move to the side. Or this weekend when Bowe Bentley's on campus, I think you've got to decide that, have Nagy and Brent see if they can watch him throw. I'm not sure NCAA rules what the rules are about that, but if they can see him, if they're not watching film tonight, to have a discussion with he and his family tomorrow about where they're going to the quarterback situation. I think that's a mistake. I don't think you can drag this thing out any longer with Jaden O'Neal kind of having enrolled. So that's my view. That was a little bit of what I said Wednesday night with K. Chris on the long pod we did. I just think it's time to make a decision. It's time to move on. We'll get to this later in the podcast, but there's a lot of really talented players visiting this weekend, both 26 and 27 skill guys. And I think you need to have your quarterback leader ready to Piper that group through official visits this summer.
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing about it anyway, right? Is that your quarterback, generally speaking, if he's a guy like this, it's one of the top ranked guys in the class. he's the one kind of working, the phones and getting, these guys all talk to each other anyway, really trying to pull that class together. You've seen it with a lot of the other classes as well. Go to you guys, Big Mike. What are your thoughts about that? Should they be thinking about 2 quarterbacks maybe, or do you feel like this is probably a situation just like what Chris said, that you probably need to make a choice here because you're probably only going to get one of them?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I think the choice is already made. To be honest with you, I think Jaden O'Neal is the choice, and they're obviously trying to get 2 quarterbacks. What is that? The 2026 class. So I mean, yeah, they threw the offer out there to Bowe Bentley, but it's kind of like, throwing shit on the wall and kind of seeing what sticks, in my opinion, and trying to stack as much talent as possible. But I think he's gotten too many big time offers, out there, especially after Oklahoma offered him. I feel like I saw Georgia and a couple other ones. So I mean, I don't even see this as really an issue. I don't think that Bowe Bentley will come to Oklahoma. But you never know. I've been wrong before, man. Never say never. And sometimes I would even wonder why I try to stay in line. It's you gotta with recruiting and with these young kids, because you never know. You never know, right?
That's true.
Like I said, I'm washed, bro. I'm washed. So I don't think there's a decision to be made. I think that they're sticking with Jaden O'Neal, and we'll see what happens with Bowe Bentley. And even if they don't land 2 quarterbacks in the 2026 class, I mean, it's always a couple portal windows, so not a big deal if they don't land them.
Yeah, I think, well, I would agree with you on that, as far as that goes. But I don't think most of the time, once you have a group of guys in the room, and I think that they, we hadn't really talked about Jet New either, but he's another guy that they brought in that they're pretty excited about the opportunities that he could have down the line. You still got Michael Hawkins that's probably going to be here in your starter after Mateer. I don't know that you're going to keep, even if you did get both of these guys to come, how the hell do you keep them all happy and keep them all around is the other thing. But Marcus, I'll ask you, I mean, Bowe Bentley won the 4A Division I championship, undefeated season last year in Texas. He had 63 total touchdowns, over 4,000 total yards. I mean,
he's a dude. There's no doubt about it. He's a dude, but man, I think O'Neal is the guy. I think him moving closer to Norman, I think that says a lot. I'm just being honest with you. I'm gonna have to go kind of what Mike said. I think they kind of threw something on the wall just see if it's gonna stick. But O'Neal's been a spearhead in getting the guys in the 2026 class, man. So, I don't see but one quarterback in that 2026 class, and I think that's O'Neal. I know you have to have competition and all that kind of stuff, but what they have right now, I think taking O'Neal would be the best shot. Nothing against the other guy; he's a hell of a quarterback, but he just got Georgia. Yeah, he just got the Georgia offer and some more big time offers, man. So, we'll see. But I think O'Neal's your guy. I think that's one reason why he's moving closer to Norman, man, because he pretty much want to be at everything. He want to see everything. He want to be around. He's helping recruit. So, man, I think you rock with that guy.
I'm with you on that too. And I kind of feel the same way. And, we talked a little bit even after the show the other night, and I think that it's kind of, it's like what Billian's saying here. The guy's been loyal. You know what I mean? He's been really loyal. And so you got to look at it as, and it is a competition-based business, so it wouldn't really kill me if they went the other way. But here's the thing. You're not going to get both of them, and just because they're both in the top 10, top 11, at least, whatever, in these quarterback deals, that means they can go somewhere and be an immediate impact guy. They're not going to both come to the same place. Right. And, the fact that he's been around for a year now, I think it's kind of touchy for me to even hear them, offering somebody else when he's been committed as long as he has and he's never wavered.
Well, Jay, How are they going to pay? I mean, I'm not going to say how they're going to do it, but that's paying 2 big time quarterbacks in the same class. I just don't see that.
Not when
Right.
not when you want to pick up big time D line.
Right.
You want to make
Exactly.
to go all recruiting deep. You want to make a run at Felix Ojo as long as he's still in play for you at tackle. They've got the money for him. He's a 5-star from Mansfield. OU's recruited Mansfield really well. You'd love to steal him from Texas or Ohio State.
Right.
He's made a lot of connections with Bill. We've been the longest connection. So you've got Felix Ojo. I'll talk about it a little bit later, but there's 3 5-star 2026 kids on campus this weekend. 2 of them at cornerback, big corners. You'd love to have one of those guys in the recruiting class because we've never had a 5-star cornerback to the best of my knowledge. So it'd be nice. Gentry was sort of like that a little bit for a little while. And obviously, Todd Bates is trying to get D-line on campus too. We've got 2 good defensive ends, KJ Ford and Jake Krull, OU's recruiting. So there's a lot of places to spend money. You want to make sure you lock down at wide receiver, some of the big wide receivers you're looking at, and they're all everybody costs money. So I don't think you can spend. I don't think Nagy, our new GM, is going to approve, 2 first round. We don't have first round money for 2 quarterbacks, not with what we spent, not what we spent on John Mateer, who could come back next year.
Exactly.
The same amount of money, you just can't. I don't see where the money is, Coach D. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I think it is a great point. Not even something I'd really brought up, and I think you're probably right on the money though too. Is we were talking earlier this year about, what are you going to do with Michael Hawkins versus Mateer? And everybody was talking about, all the money's going to Mateer. No, it isn't. They're both getting paid well. You know what I mean? And you're going to have to continue to do that year after year. That's why it almost seems like, one is probably going to do the trick, right? Every year. And do you feel like that's probably where they're at this point, Chris, that you're just going to get one per cycle?
Yeah, I mean, right now for 2027, they only have 1 QB offer out there. Peyton Houston, who will be on campus this weekend. So, it doesn't make sense to bring in 2 guys as talent. Even if you could get Bowe Bentley and Jaden O'Neal at a dollar number that works, by the time spring ball's over, you're going to have lost one of them. So what have you really accomplished? Because they'll both enroll early, right? Every big name quarterback, no big name quarterback is enrolling in August, so you don't get any space between the 2 of them at all. So I just don't see the point. I think they made the offer to Bowe Bentley when he was not the number 50 quarterback, the number 50 player in the nation on 3. But when he went to the Navy game and blew up and everyone started looking at his film, I think it just, it's over. I mean, Ohio State and Georgia both seem to be waiting for us to cut loose one of these guys. Georgia especially seems to be kind of like riding OU's coattails in QB recruiting, which is kind of funny to think about. But it seems like Georgia's just like, we'll take whoever you don't want, OU. So, because they'll take Jaden O'Neal in a heartbeat, and they've offered Bowe Bentley, and they're not going to get. I don't think they're going to get Jared Curtis, one of the top 5 quarterbacks of 2026 from Tennessee. I think he's going to Oregon, which is why USC was able to steal Oregon's verbal commitment from Illinois. I mean, this whole quarterback thing is very much like musical chairs, right? But no one wants to share a chair, right? You got to find your chair and sit down, and it's always been that case, to be honest. I mean, it used to be at the Elite 11, the guys would all go off into a room and talk about where they were heading to make sure no one was heading to the same spot.
Right.
That's the old Rhett Bomar story with he was FSU. His mom was like an FSU alum, and there was another quarterback there who said, "Yeah, I'm going to FSU." And then Bomar was like, "Well, that's it. I'm going to OU then." So they were buying hats at like the Sports Authority or something like that. That's the classic recruiting story. So I just don't see how in the NIL world, to Coach D's point, it doesn't work. Mr. Boganowski's highlighted that it rarely works signing 2 guys as well. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And and if you are short a quarterback, you can pick up somebody in the portal. I mean, the Gonzalez kid that OU picked up from, I believe it was East Carolina, right? I mean, he gives OU really
Western Carolina, something like that. He was a
Yeah.
division.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe OU picked him up as like their third quarterback. So I think there's always going to be especially if Arbuckle and Mateer have a big year. I mean, Buckle's going to have that rep that, okay, that's kind of 3-4 quarterbacks in a row that he's gotten to a high level at different schools. I think, it's going to be easy to find a guy who will want to come in and be coached up by him. So I don't think 2 high school guys make any sense. And you don't want to split leadership in in those classes and those, because Jaden O'Neal has a list of, he has like on the social media apps, O'Neal is rallying everybody together. So I don't think you want to diffuse his presence doing that by continuing this facade with Bowe Bentley. You're not getting both. You're just not.
Yeah, I think pretty much you have O'Neal. He's been leading that class, man. So I just don't. It doesn't make logical sense to go away from him at all.
Well, I guess the question I would have then is, why did they offer him?
I don't know. I mean, what did they offer him? I can't remember the time frame that they offered him.
I think Buckle looked at the film and said, he's a really great fit for the offense. Let me offer him and see if we can get 2 quarterbacks. Because he wasn't that ballyhooed before he got the OU offer.
Yeah. That makes all
it did.
That makes all the sense in the world right there. Once he got that offer, he was saying, okay, I'm gonna slide this one in. Nobody really knows about this kid. I'm gonna slide him in. We might not have to pay him that much, so we're gonna get really a bang for our buck. But like I say, what they used to call the Nick Saban effect. Once you get offered by a blue blood, everybody else is going to start snooping around, and that's what happened, pretty much. So from where he is right now to where he was when they offered him, his recruiting is so much different right now. So
here's how I look at it, right? And we've talked about like who we're recruiting and guys that want to be here and guys that want to play for Oklahoma and be a Sooner and getting those type of dudes, you know what I mean, in the program, right? Because it means more to them. And I think that's Jaden O'Neal. He been wanting to be a Sooner ever since he's been on my radar. He's ride or die Sooners, and I don't think as the team in the university, like that's got to be your guy, man. And I don't think you can go try to over recruit him or anything like that. I think that's your guy.
I also wonder if Nagy takes a look at the film. Nagy, I mean, he was talking all about measurables, right? And this, it's a sort of a stats league. When I'm scouting, and I'll be honest, I mean, Jaden O'Neal's is 6'4", 215 pounds, and has the best throwing motion I think I've seen in the last.
Bro, he looks like a grown ass man.
He is a grown ass man.
He does, man.
He is. I mean, and you look at his arm. He's got like a pretty arm. Like it's just beautiful watching him throw the ball. I think Nagy may be like, I see NFL quarterback written all over this guy. Why are we screwing around? I wouldn't surprise me if Nagy didn't say that.
Remind me again of the size for Bowe, though, because I'd looked at it a little bit, but looking at his film, and I mean, you guys are watching it with me here.
Yeah,
the kid's
not small.
Player. I mean, he's got a nice arm. He's not a little kid either.
He's 6'1", 200, something like that, probably. I mean, this is I think a little bit of the Bowe Bentley thing with our fan base is like, he's Baker-like. Well, all right. So Mateer is Baker-like. Everybody is, all these Centex quarterbacks, kind of get this label, if they kind of get this label like Baker. I mean, he looks really good. If OU did not have Jaden O'Neal verbal, I'd be like, man, Bowe Bentley looks great. Looks a good fit for the offense. Let's roll with him. Let's get this deal closed and get him verbal and committed. But we're just not in that circumstance. We already have a guy who I think will qualify for Elite 11 and will look great at Elite 11. So I think he's got all the tools. He's got all. Arbuckle kind of, is going to mold his offense around what his guy has. And if he can't mold it around a guy who's 6'3", 215 and can throw the ball, has an NFL arm, then Arbuckle's not who we thought he was.
Yeah, well,
let me ask you this, Coach Mason.
Yeah.
How much stock do you put into the Elite 11? That's what I want to know.
Well, lately it's been better than it was before. Like in the 2000s, it was like Elite 11 MVP was kind of a curse for a little while.
Right.
And in the last 5 to 10 years, I think for the most part, it's gotten better in terms of being one predictive element.
Yeah.
In terms of that, just generally what they do. Obviously, Caleb Williams validates them a little bit. I mean, we all know. You can say what you want about him, but Caleb Williams obviously is dominated Elite 11 and that kind of validated out. So I think it's a piece of the puzzle. It's a balancing piece of the puzzle because of the competition, the different levels of competition the different quarterbacks face. Like the guy from North Carolina, Faison Brandon. I don't know the level of competition he faces in that Charlotte area that he's in, in terms of elite talent. I'm from Atlanta, so I'm biased. You tell me that a kid from Gwinnett is a superstar, I'll buy that because I know all those colleges, all those, Parkview, Duluth, Buford, all those schools are just loaded with talent. He's at Celina 4A, so I think Bentley's probably playing good talent, but I think Jaden O'Neal was playing really good teams out in California before this whole.
Jaden O'Neal had teams canceling on him because they didn't even want to play him.
Because that whole forfeit nonsense and all that.
Yeah.
There was all kinds of wild stuff going on out there in that league. And then he finally got to play, and he just threw up 600 yards in one game, and then he put up like 400 in the game they lost because they're 75 points in that game. They won 75-37. It was in the LA City section division championship. Yeah. 6 touchdowns. He had 7 touchdowns in that game. 7.
Yeah. So I think, but Coach D, I think you bring up a good question. Is it the defining predictor? No, but I think you can add it to the other things and say, if you qualify for Elite 11, okay, that at least proves from a talent standpoint.
That you have the talent to play at one of the top schools. And the reason why I asked that, I got a good buddy of mine that lives right there in Atlanta. He works with quarterbacks, Tony Ballard. I don't know if you know Tony or not, but he runs an organization called Hustle Inc.
Okay.
And we talk about this all the time. Some of it, kids have the tangibles, but how much do that, go back to the field and on Friday nights? Because this is what I'm seeing. A lot of these elite quarterbacks, not all of them, but some of them, they got elite receivers. They got elite offensive linemen. So what happens when you take that kid and put him in a situation 2 years from now when he doesn't have everything perfect? That's my kind of deal with the Elite 11. Elite 11 pretty much tell me you have the tangibles. You have the tangibles to do it.
Ask me that same question. Ask me what I think about Elite 11.
I mean, you right here. I mean, it is what it is when it comes to that. It's the same way kids going to camp, and I run camps and I scout. So I have to turn the film on along with everything that goes on. At camp.
But the Elite 11, right? I gives a shit about the Elite 11.
I was just going to ask for you. Yeah.
But you're not the one paying out millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to tell you. Here's why. Here's why. Because all the dudes, the 11 quarterbacks that they invite to that, we already know they're dudes, right? We already know. That's how they got there. That's how they got there. So, I mean, it's cool and everything to go out there and compete and, get to know other quarterbacks or whatever. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean that, like, is he going to be a good quarterback or what? Does it elevate him anywhere? Like,
what's his locker room skills?
Should we consider that when, like, giving this kid a scholarship or his NIL money or rankings and all that stuff? Nope, I give a damn.
We just had one elite 11 quarterback. So
I was going to say we just had an
an
Elite 11 MVP that didn't
You
look like
better say it.
anything whenever,
Well,
even
yeah.
without guys in his face.
I do think it does. The only thing it does give you a chance is the same guys are doing the same drills and are not cherry picking where they're going and who they're competing against. That's the only thing it gives you. It's like 20 top quarterbacks in the country who are doing the same things, being asked to do the same stuff. It's like the Colorado quarterback who ditched Georgia. I think didn't ditch Georgia, ditched UNC. Juju Lewis.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
He's
applied close against that kid. Yeah,
I mean, he's a really good kid, but he's also his Carrollton squad was effing loaded.
Yeah, man.
I mean, they've got like 6 Division I kids.
Yeah, they bought that squad, bro.
Yeah,
I know all about that deal.
Well, there you go. But
Hey.
that team was loaded. So it's like,
yeah.
and he skipped a year. So
that joke also beat me in a national championship game, FBU too. So,
so he's got skills, but it's also like his team was loaded. So you just don't need. He skipped a year. I worry about quarterbacks skipping a year a little bit.
But he's a kid. He's the perfect kid that I'm talking about because from his, I mean, I love his dad. His dad is who his dad is, but they have always put this kid in the right situation. He is always in FBU. He had the best kids in the country. Tyler Atkinson, that whole bunch, Deuce Geralds, all those guys, and then the receivers that he had. He goes to Carrollton, and they drape guys around him, and man, he tears it up. So I want to know what's it going to be like for adversity for a kid like that. That's my only concern. And you got a guy like Nagy that's sitting there saying, "Okay, look, I haven't seen this kid face anything. He hadn't faced adversity because he has had everything he needs to be successful." And you probably could put 2 or 3 other quarterbacks at Carrollton that probably could have did the same thing because of what they had. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I mean, especially at Carrollton. I mean, that talented level. But yeah, I think that's the only thing I think Elite 11 gives us is it's a leveling mechanism.
I got you, and I'm with you on that.
But I think and obviously, I mean, I hate saying this, but if Jaden O'Neal goes to Elite 11 and is like a top 3 quarterback, that matters in recruiting because players see that. Social media will see that. I mean, I hate saying that, but it is important in recruiting that if Jaden O'Neal was to go to Elite 11, that he does well. I mean, you saw Kevin Sperry last year go to the Elite 11, really didn't do very well, and it kind of started the slide of OU's opinion on him, and his national recruiting ranking started dropping, and and then he had a very average year at Dent and Geyer, so it kind of showed that. The year before, where he was at Carl Albert, and they were just loaded, right? I mean, he had Rob, Trinae Washington, Tristan Haynes. I mean, that team was.
And that's the point I'm making right there, Coach. That's the point I'm making right there. I mean, it does have value. I'm not going to sit up here and say it doesn't have value because I scout for the U.S. Army Bowl, and same thing goes there. But the competition at the Elite 11. You just don't have big guys in your face, and that's all I'm saying. I mean, it has its place, and I watch it every year. That it comes on and get a chance to look at it. So, hey, I'm saying, my thing about it is me. I just wonder how much stock a guy like Nagy is going to put in. That's really the end all.
That'd be the question I have too. Is what does Nagy think about that? Is he a believer in Elite 11? I don't know. He's
a ground roots guy. He believes in finding guys in the weeds, just like he did for the Senior Bowl.
He does.
Now I bet he mines that for data. Like he has some folks there who know him and are feeding him their real evaluation of what's going on. I don't think Nagy's gonna ignore data points. And that's the best. That's the best thing.
No.
You don't want him to. You don't want him to.
No, that's what.
That's what you brought him here for, man. Yeah. He's gonna do that.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, wanted to get to this. It's been up there for a minute, but Tristan Griffin, this is obviously Unc. This is K. Chris's Unc. I'm more worried about the kids he's already built a relationship with that may look at us differently for being disloyal to a kid that's clearly loyal to us.
Definitely.
It's a bad look.
Yes.
Bad look. So
and Brent's a big time loyalty guy. He preaches loyalty, although we did see the first crack of that as in his press conference saying that, being a nice guy ain't enough to stay on the roster any longer. That was one of the first sort of signs Brent, that was the first sort of loyalty message from Brent. But yeah, I agree. I think it sends a terrible message. And again, we're not talking like Jaden O'Neal is some, 3-star kid that we just picked up off the. I mean, he's
bad dude, man. He
had like 25 offers when he picked OU last summer. I mean,
bro, just watching. So I'd never watched Bowe Bentley. I'd never seen his film before, but like just watching the two and going back and looking at it, man, that ball come out of Jaden O'Neal's hand a little different, bro.
Than anybody in this class, maybe. Yeah, he may have the best arm in his class.
That ball looks different, man, and he doesn't miss. He looks all his throws look. They're.
He's
like
a sharpshooter, man. He's a sharpshooter.
Yeah. He was. I saw him hitting even those sideline routes that are the tough ones, right? The ones that you got to be on the money with.
They're hard to throw, bro. Yeah.
The NFL judgment throw, right? That's the throw. If you can't make that throw, you can't be an NFL quarterback, and that's what Nagy knows, at least. So I think it'll be good. But but that's just one story of recruiting. I think it'll work itself out pretty quickly here in the next 30 days on the quarterback thing, because I think, Jaden O'Neal's in Mustang now. He's probably going to be at every spring practice OU will let him come to. I mean, he's going to be like, soaking up the offense, soaking up what Mateer and Arbuckle are doing. So you pretty much, you got to tell him to stop coming if you're making a change. So.
No doubt. What's up there, T Boomer? Welcome into the show, everybody. Bishop Frank, Ryman Lemon, Jimmy Satterfield, Orca's in here. Topher B, Unc, as I said, Neilio, Scott Walker, Billion, Mars Jams, Zofix. We have Kimberly K in here as well. Appreciate everybody popping in with us this morning. Make sure that you hit that like button. And Ken Sterling, you as well. Thanks for coming in. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Get over there to Sooners 360 and check out his page over there. Doing great work over there at Sooners 360. He's got a Patreon page. You want some of this inside information on some of this stuff that he knows with these recruits, you definitely got to get over there and become a subscriber to his channel as well. Don't forget to jump over there on the Gridiron Insight too with Marcus Dent. Putting out some amazing content there as well, man. We appreciate both you guys, all you guys coming in here. Big dog over here. You got to go check him out on Twitter because it's just a fun read. It's just a fun read. And then he's always in here with us on Mike and Mike on Mondays as well. So, yeah, man. Appreciate everybody popping in, though. Look at there. Oh, Big Trap's in the house.
Big Trap.
Big Trap. Trap House. Oh, yeah, man. That's my guy.
Accounted for.
Present and accounted for. That's right.
Yeah, Coach Mason, I didn't know you was in Georgia, man. I didn't know you was that close, bro. I go over there all the time, Gwinnett, man. Spend a lot of time over there, just football stuff, man.
Yeah, my wife used to be a school counselor out in Gwinnett.
Okay, cool.
I used to live out in Swanee, so she was a middle school counselor out there. So she knows all those campuses and all those folks. I spoke to Luke Metz last year, and I was disappointed OU couldn't make a run past his dream school, Alabama, but OU's still trying to bang that Georgia. Yeah, I mean, the defenders in Georgia. That it's tough though. I mean, it's tough recruiting them.
Yeah, they got I think what's the kid we played against him in the championship? Deuce Gerald's. I think Deuce is probably headed to Ole Miss. His dad played at Ole Miss, but I think they were kind of tough on him at one time. I don't know how tough they are on him right now, but I can say this just for the state of Mississippi. they're starting to dig in a little bit more in the state of Mississippi. So we're seeing that a lot more.
Do you like the running back they offered?
Oh yeah, no, both of them play for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Both of them actually. One of them, Mikael Stevens, his dad does the show with me. So yeah, man. They'll be up this weekend also. I think they're coming up Wednesday and Thursday. So they'll be up in Norman at a couple of practices this week. Also.
Yeah, it's tough. I think Gerald's between Ohio State, Ole Miss legacy, and Georgia. I'm not sure they're going to be able to pull
Nah, I
that
don't think
off.
so. Yeah, I think.
But
I
he's
think it's,
also
I think it's an Ole Miss race. I think it's an Ole Miss and Ohio State race. To be honest with you.
yeah. But the one interesting thing recently, Jason, is Brandon Hall's starting to get some big time safeties. Looking at OU. I mean,
been having those.
well, I mean, I'm talking. I liked Mike and Reggie Powers. I thought
Mike wasn't really big time like that though. He was a high 3, low 4.
Well, Michigan wanted him. You looked at his film and you knew he was underranked. I said that. I mean, he was a top 200, top 150 kid easily when you looked at your kid's film. But Caden Hall is visiting this weekend. He's a top 30 player in the country at safety from Florida, 6'3", 200 pounds. And they just got this kid to visit. His name is Salasi Moa from Utah. He's a top 40 kid in the country, 6'2", 175, plays safety, fast, and OU's got a little bit of a Utah connection going. But it's interesting. I think when you see Bowman get drafted, I think you can see Robert Spears Jennings get drafted. Peyton Bowen probably will work his things out with his injury, but I'll be shocked if Mike Bogan if Boganowski, Powers, and Hardy, those guys aren't also trending the NFL rate. You can tell Brandon Hall's starting to get a rep out there, and bigger time kids from around the country are starting to notice OU safety play.
No doubt about it. And I think that just kind of goes hand in hand with what they did at Clemson too. I mean, look, these guys, they're recruiting at another level at this point, and I think it only probably gets better. Let's talk a little bit about that. Who else you got coming in this weekend that we should be taking a look at aside from that? But we'll get into some of this other stuff after that. But
yeah, let me give you just five. Let me give you just like 5 names to watch.
Okay.
So the first one is Brandon Arrington from California. He is the number 1 athlete in the nation, top 20 player, 5-star. He's 6'2", 6'3", 180 pounds, and he's posting, like 10-4 track times. And he's probably a cornerback, could be a wide receiver, although wide receiver recruiting is stacked. Emmett Jones has that position just stacked again with guys. So I think they're looking at him at cornerback. He really liked OU last fall. Obviously, our struggles on the field, we lost a little momentum there, but he's now back on campus. Really likes Jay Valai. That could be something big to watch. And then Jordan Edmonds from Georgia, from Sprayberry area, where Trey Sermon was from, up in the Marietta area of Georgia. He's a 5-star cornerback as well. Bama probably leads, but he's been wanting to visit OU, and OU's finally got their shot. He's on campus, so we'll see if OU can get in the mix there. He's 6'2", 185 pounds, top 30 player in the country, probably the number 2 cornerback, depending upon where you view Arrington and a couple other kids. And then I mentioned Peyton Houston's going to be in town, the 5-star quarterback from Louisiana. He's OU's only 2027 quarterback offer right now. OU was firmly, I think, had a lead last fall. Obviously, with the coaching staff changes, I think this is Arbuckle's chance to meet with them and get OU right back in that mix. And then the real wild card name is a name they just offered recently. He's a 2028 kid. He's a defensive end from Jacksonville, Florida. His name is Asher Giotto, I think. He's 6'5", 240 already. He's the only other D-line offer for 2028, along with summer camp superstar Marcus Fakatu who was like 6'6", 270 as a high school freshman. And Gyuto's that way. He's a future 5-star. His film is unbelievable. So that's 4 guys I just mentioned, 4 5-star players OU will have on campus at D-line, quarterback, and corner.
Wow. Hey, so I guess that would. I'm glad you brought those guys up. So how much of this do you think you're going to start seeing them getting more 5-star guys? Now, I mean, we're all on the record here is I don't give a shit how many stars they got. If they like them, go get them. But obviously, with what recruiting is, you want to see those guys that are high ranked going to your school. If you're going to win national championships, there is a blue chip ratio that hasn't really fallen. It's a fact. You got to be.
It's predictable, right? It's
very predictable.
Right. I think overall, when you think they're probably gonna have like 40 kids on campus, I mentioned I think they're probably gonna have somewhere in the range of like 7 to 8 kids who are 5-stars, who could be 5-stars, because there'll be a lot of 2027 kids there, some 2028 kids, and it's hard to project. I mean, when you only have freshman film, it's hard to really project stuff, but some of these kids just are that good looking. But I think the bigger thing, Jason, is that when you talk about these 40 kids they're going to have on campus, I'd say about 20 of them have the potential to be top 100 kids composite by the services, and that means they've got the measurables. It's to quote our new GM, it's a trait-based league. They have the traits. They have the traits that you want at the various positions, and the most encouraging thing is there's O-line and D-line already in those groups. You've got Brian Swanson from Texas for 2027, who's a top 100 kid. Demarion, I didn't mention him, but Demarion Johnson from Tyler, Texas will be on campus. He's another top 100 kid, offensive tackle, lineman. Yeah. And then you've got, and then for 2026, Todd Bates has 3 big-time D-line on campus. He's going to have Damian Winfield. He's going to have Brian Davis, the new offer from Florida they made, who's just dominated some camp in Florida, flying up the charts. And then they've got Tavion Branch, who they're battling Penn State for. And you take a look at Penn State's D-line evaluations, and there's not a lot to argue with what they're putting in the NFL right now. So if Penn State wants Tavion Branch, I want Tavion Branch. I mean, you just look at what they've done, and, I'm not a big James Franklin fan, but, you look at what they're putting out into the draft from the defensive side of the ball. There's not much to argue with. So
it makes sense.
You look at who they're. I mean, I look at the film, and it's always, and the high school film's always good. I mean, I'm not looking at junior high film. They just made a 2029 offer. I'm not looking at middle school film because that's not really telling me a whole bunch, other than the kid's huge and he's running all over people. But you just look at the big thing. I think though, Jason. Now we're almost sort of 7 months removed. Is how much progress OU did in their summer camps last summer. They had so many of these kids on campus, especially on the O-line. Bill got access to so many of these kids, coached them up. See how they responded to his coaching throughout the entire session. I'm sure Coach D will tell you how invaluable that is from a scouting recruiting standpoint for Bill to get his hands on kids and actually coach them all afternoon and see if did this guy pick up anything I told him in this session? If and the guys that do, you recruit, and the guys that don't, maybe you don't. But I think, I think there's nothing wrong with that. From my perspective, having followed high school recruiting since, the Tommy Harris, Jason White days back in the day, during the John Blake era when things were really dark in terms of recruiting. I look at the film, and OU's just always offering good kids, good film. There's the very few guys I just watch the film and go, why did we make that offer? I mean, the kids look good on the hoof. The O-line are always physical. They're always, you can tell what Bill wants when you watch the high school kids he offers. The DB group is always, you can always tell Brandon Hall's looking for both center field safeties and hitter safeties, run support safeties, and even the center field coverage safeties. They're always up in run support. You can always tell they're physical. Like Omarion Robinson last year, you could just watch that film and say, well, it's obvious they love him for his sort of center field safety coverage ability, but you could just see in run support he was also, flying up and helping.
No doubt.
So
No
the only position that, and not to kick a coach while he's down or while he's not the favorite of the OU fan base, the only issue, and I love Ryder Mix, the tight end verbal we have, but the only issue has been, and I like the tight end offers Joe John Finley makes, but it just seems like we fall by the wayside very quickly with some of the national tight ends we offer. That we're not making any headway there.
Coach Mason, let me ask you a question on that tight end situation. Now, I kind of looked at some of the things in practice, and you got some guys look really good. How much do you think of this offense that we're going to use the tight end? How much of a priority is the tight end to his system?
Well, based upon the stuff I've watched from Wazoo, and I'll defer to some other folks in terms of that kind of analysis, what I watched. I mean, he's definitely used the flexed out tight end. He uses, more of a backfield H-back tight end as well. It's part of the offense. He's used both of them at the same time. It looks like I think we have a mix of tight ends that we will cobble together whatever the offense needs this fall in terms of a guy. But do I see a guy that's going to get 40 catches and 500 yards on the roster right now? It would have to be a shock from, I think, either Carson Kent or, I'm trying to be positive here. Caden Helms looked as mobile.
Listen, did y'all watch the videos last night?
Caden Helms looked good, man.
Caden Helms looked different.
He did.
And it looks like he's done well with the offseason and getting himself back right. That looked like the Caden Helms that I used to peep back in the day. Like he looks back.
Yeah, he does look good, man. He does look good. He was moving well.
No knee brace. No knee brace.
No knee brace, and man, Caddick looked good, man. He didn't look out of place.
Even caught a one-hander. Brought it in with one. His body. Look, I think that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's bodies there. I also love the fact Kevin Wilson, who coached Joe John Finley, is now on staff and knows the tight end position. He knows what Jermaine Grisham, J. John Finley, because Joe John was a really good tight end for OU. I think if you don't remember him as a player, he was really good.
He was a hell of a tight end for OU. Yeah.
So you've got Kevin Wilson there, who we know is not subtle about, what the hell are you doing? Why aren't these guys doing this? What's going on here? So I think Kevin Wilson is kind of as a second view at the tight end group, I think is going to help OU because I think he can. I mean, Joe John obviously respects the hell out of Kevin Wilson. Anybody that played for him does.
I love that. I love that you even brought that up because I still think that that's one of the more underrated moves that they've made this offseason, and particularly considering that they brought in Buckle, they brought in Mateer, now they brought in Jim Nagy. I mean, we're talking about this has been an offseason of making big moves for Oklahoma to move into the future. I think that the Kevin Wilson deal is important all the way around. I
just think the staff hiring altogether was a plus. I'm just if I had to grade the off season. Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Reggie Powell the other day how pumped they were about that Reggie the third there, that he's really liking old boy from Clemson, loving it, because he's working in that cheetah room and stuff. So a lot of this stuff is, I mean, I think.
Did you see the measurables on Kendall Daniels?
Yeah, is that 6'5"?
Bro, 6'5"?
Yeah.
35. Golly.
Holy shit.
And they asked me, they said, what are you going to play for? They just brought me in to play defense. I'm like, that's a body you just got
6'5".
to have. That's a body you got to have.
He's inside. He's a linebacker, bro. He's inside.
But he kind of reminds me of a more physical Deshaun McCullough and just a little bit more of an athlete and a little bit heavier.
Sideline to sideline athlete. Little bit.
Sideline to sideline athlete. And that's what Deshaun kind of missed that. He wasn't that guy. I think this guy's a better athlete, and BV is going to find somewhere for this guy.
So yeah, Deshaun was really a coverage guy, right? He was learning it and he got better at coverage, but he wasn't a natural coverage dude. And we know that when what we're talking about here, he has been one, right?
Yeah. He's huge, though, bro. He's 235.
Yeah, he played free safety. He was a dog, man. He was when he moved to linebacker last year was when he struggled, and we talked about that. We talked about that with K. Chris that night too, Chris. That that he just really was kind of out of place, and it looked kind of bad at times. I think that they were talking about him up in Stillwater, of course, saying that he was dogging it and quitting on plays. Hell, the whole team quit. The coaching staff had quit. What the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah, he got that watertight body, man.
No, I think both. When you saw the guys on the hoof, Daniels, as you saw the linebacker group and you saw Daniels added to that group, and you're like, okay, the backers look great. And then you saw the defensive end group with Marvin Jones added, and you're like, all right, the DN group looks good. The interior group looks really good too. I didn't see anything. I didn't see as much on the safeties and the cornerbacks from the footage I watched. I saw tight ends, but it looked to me overall, I think we have an off the bus front seven. And I think we probably have the pieces for an off the bus back end as well when you talk about the guys that we have. So, I think it's, Daniels, as you said, I think both of those are going to look like A+ portal additions, already added to a very good front seven that we had returning. That I think that's that. I like the key question I wonder about the portal and with what we see is if Jacoby and the other young. I mean, I'm hearing great things about the young cornerbacks, Guillory. I remember Michael Hawkins' dad as a player, so Malik at cornerback. Already hearing good stuff about Malik Hawkins. So I really wonder whether everyone's like, we need a cornerback from the portal. I really wonder after spring practice whether Nagy is going to look at that with BV and say, no, I think we've got the players. Let's move on. That there's other positions of need because I'm not sure. Some other folks are talking about like, well, Nagy's going to make a big splash in spring portal. I just don't know how many positions are going to be available. And how much talent's actually going to be in the spring portal. So,
yeah. Well, you heard BV say it's going to be some tough conversations made. So we don't know what that situation is going to be, but I know for a fact that he's going to evaluate talent across the board. And here's the thing: I hate to bring this into this, but it's some truth to it. He knows every agent in the country. And if there's an agent to have a kid that's looking to move somewhere and he might not be in the portal, guess what? Jim Nagy is going to have that number. They're probably going to reach out to him. So, and that's a benefit of us having him. I know it's not clean cut as you want, but this is the game that we're playing right now. But he will have access to everybody. If they're an agent, they got big time kids, he's going to have access to those kids before the portal happens. And that's something that was one of my A pluses on the up there because I've dealt with a lot of those guys because I know them because it's just the business that I'm in. But I think he's going to make some additions in the spring. I think it's going to be some subtractions in the spring. I saw him out there with his, pretty much with his in a pad because he's going to evaluate every position from the offensive line to quarterbacks to running backs. He's going to have an in-depth, and say, hey, look, I think this guy is good. I think he can play at Louisville, but he can't play here. That's going to happen. And I told my son, I told him, I said, look, he's going to evaluate everything. Everything. You got to keep everything aboard, which he's going to do that anyway. But I'm telling the fans, a lot of people say, yeah, that was a good hire, but man, they just don't know the inside that guy has and the impact he's going to make. There was a reason why On 3 talked about it. There was a reason why college football talked about it. There was a reason why ESPN talked about it. There was a reason why 24/7 talked about it, because there's more to it than just what people see. The connections and the people he know, and to be able to get your hands on a kid firsthand, he's going to be able to do that
Well,
before they ever hit the portal.
What I like is the self-scouting portion that he's going to bring to OU.
Oh yeah.
That kind of evaluation, true evaluation of our roster and our gaps, and to be able to really push that with, sit down with Brent and really go over like, hey, this position group is in good shape. This position group needs X. This needs X. So, but I mean, I have a hard time thinking there's too many casualties coming at. I don't know. We went through the roster. We'll see how guys proceed through spring and all that, and see how folks are doing. But I think OU. I don't think OU's getting 10 new guys from the spring portal.
No.
I think we're talking. Yeah. I think we're talking 2 or 3 focused additions based upon what happens at spring. Jaden Gibson's injury thing. Maybe you look at another wide receiver. Although I don't know, there's a lot of talent in that room. Looks like there's a lot of talent in that room from what we can see. I mean, Manny Choice is 6'4", 215. That's ridiculous. And obviously the Giovanni Gibson highlight that OU pushed out last night, and I think, his film from Arkansas Pine Bluff, I think he looks great. So, yeah, I mean, I think there are various areas that OU could add a couple of players, and I think some folks will have a hard conversation with, and maybe some folks that we I mean, I don't want to say this is going to be a guy, but let's just say Jaron Kanik is really close to being able to be a functional tight end. But let's just say, to the discussion we've had, but Caden Helms has put it all together, right? So it's like you've got 1 year, Jaron, maybe you should you drop a level and play somewhere else and get playing time at tight end to try and help you down the road. That's the kind of conversation I think we could see.
Oh, you're going to see that. I mean, you talk about the tight end room. Devon Mitchell is huge. What he came in like 275?
Well, that's what they say. He looks big. Yeah. I mean, he was big before. He was big before. He was 250.
He's 240 when he got here, wasn't he? When he got here, he was.
Yeah, 250. He played high school 255.
I don't see 275 when I look at him. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, where do you think he is?
I think he's probably the 250, 260 range.
Okay.
I mean, but the roster came out 275.
I know. That's what's crazy to me. And I mean, maybe my eyes are deceiving me.
I mean, yeah, because they all got weighed. I mean, I think Isaiah ended up.
He doesn't look 275 to me, man.
I think Isaiah ended up at 317. But and I was like, man, what happened to the 320? He's I took a dump before I weighed. I'm like, okay, all right, I got you.
Well, do we think Jet New is really 5'10"?
Dude, I mean, and look at Devon Mitchell last year. There was a typo. Like, I don't hold too much on the
roster.
Yeah, because there was a typo on it last year. They had him at like 290 or something crazy like that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Mike's weight was never right. Like, Mike's weight was like his first weight when he showed up there, or like the first weigh-in that he had in spring. So it was never accurate.
That's what Isaiah was. It was the first weigh-in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm skeptical on that, to be honest with you, because shit, the last time I seen him, dude, he looked like his body changed, right, from when I first seen him, right?
He looked huge to me yesterday, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you,
bro. He was like, he was hella muscular the last time I saw him, right? Like his body transformed.
Did you see the clip the other day?
Yeah, bro, I watched it all yesterday. I wasted so much time yesterday watching all that shit.
Me and Jason talked about your ass.
Who?
Me and Jason, we said, Mike don't miss a clip.
I wasted so much time watching all that shit yesterday.
Well, it's like it's I mean, we're football junkies, right? So we finally got something to, it's been a long It's been a
Yeah,
long 70 days since
yeah,
the damn
man.
Navy game. So
Man,
you know,
don't seem like that long, but it's been it's been a minute.
it's been it's just yeah. I mean, is he 275? I don't know. Does he look big? Yeah. Can he hopefully block somebody at that size? I'd like to
Hey,
think so.
I hope
What about David Stone popping up
I
about
hope
what, about
he's
310?
not 275.
Stoney's 315 is what they're saying
Yeah,
yesterday.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
He's a big
Whew,
kid. I mean,
that's a big kid. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's with no club on his hand. He could be. I mean, that's the guy you hope just breaks out in spring. That we're just hearing him and Danny Okoye, and hopefully a little flash of Nigel Smith, please.
yes,
Those
Nigel, my guy, man.
three
Yeah,
guys. Nigel, had a chance to interview Nigel. Great kid. Just a great kid. It was. I'm obviously rooting for him. If he could,
Nigel, just my guy.
yeah. So just they all look good. I mean, again, it was a day of positivity, right? It was, I love the Michael Fasusi interview that the folks did, where he was talking about, he's already 300. He said, "Yeah, I'm going to be 315 by August," and him just talking about Bill and how much he said his my OU decision was good, and now it's even better. And it's interesting. Ryan Foge said that every once in a while Bill gets a little, Bill's gruff and Bill's an O-line coach. But it's interesting that Ryan Foge said that he said, "Yeah, my mom's been real worried about me, but Bill texts her every day to tell her I'm doing good. And keeps up with my mom every day." He goes, "Bill keeps up with my mom every day, and that really that means the world of difference to me in terms of as Coach B." He's like, "Coach B taking care of me." He goes, "I really appreciate that." And we don't always get that view of Biedenbaugh because he just has that gruff exterior. But I thought that was I thought it was a cool comment. Like, okay, all right, so
yeah. I mean, he gets a bad rap, man, for being a little rough around the edges, and that's okay. But that's a part of who he is. You can't take that from him because he wouldn't be the coach he is if you take that from him.
He's a football coach, bro. He's
Yeah,
an old lineman coach.
yeah. So
Hey, old
I
linemen
mean,
are the most dirtiest, grimiest people on the team.
yeah. So
And it's not even a question.
you can't take
Right.
that you can't take that from him, man, because if you do,
Yeah.
you're taking a part of his personality, and that's how he gets things through.
Yeah, man.
Some people try to, give you the narrative of, man, you go here, this is going to be a tough deal for your son to get along, man. And I heard that shit on the whole recruiting deal. That's every offensive line coach who really wanted Isaiah to come. They threw a little salt, but that's recruiting. They do that. But yet and still, I know what he can do, and he takes it from me and his mom. And like I said, he just had, you know, and like I said, with Coach doing that, now he did from time to time, he would text us. But, obviously, um, there was some concern there. So Coach Bill is making sure that concern is not, don't have a worry in mom. Now, he knows that passion is a little bit different because she'll bust Isaiah his damn chest in a heartbeat. You talking about the same woman that played with two broken metacarpals in a doggone national championship game. So, and I understand it, man. But B got to be B, man, for him to be successful. And that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I just thought it was a nice moment there that
Yeah, that was
Coach,
really good. That's really
yeah,
good for him to do that.
because Foji's like, my mom's a little concerned I'm up here by myself, and he's like,
Oh yeah,
Bill's
I
taking
get it.
Bill's taking care of me, and it's all good. But he goes, but he also texts my mom, which I love, and I'm just like, well, you got to coach.
I heard he's doing really well.
Yeah,
I
I
heard
mean,
he's doing really well.
yeah, I mean, when I 247 put a description out of the O-line groups that were there, and it's just like you're just hearing names upon names, and it's just like, my God, the O-line situation is just so much better than it was, 12 months ago. It's like
They're
you've
working
got
their ass off.
guys, when I hear that, your left tackle group was Fasusi, then I think they said Autry Dent, and then they said Baclaco, and then you've got right tackle. They had Sexton, and then Jake Taylor, and then they had Simmons working. It's just like three deep at offensive tackle on both sides. And then, Foji was playing guard and tackle. It's like, Daniel Akinkimi's the favorite of mine. He's from England. I'm originally from England. So
Okay.
I interviewed Daniel when he was in England before he visited America to go to OU. So I got a blind spot for Daniel Akinkimi, guys. Sorry about it, but I'm cheering for him. And he's been in the mix at right guard and left guard. And Eddie Pierre-Louis is just like, we got, even with Howland and Ozetta out, we've got names and depth and people rotating around. I mean, they tried Nwewu at center apparently, which, as a backup center, that might work for OU this year. I think possibly. It's the names and all the bodies. It just sounds 100 times better than last year.
Yeah, you look at the size too, bro. Look at the size. I mean, they're getting on up there in size with the young guys. Like I said, I think they got Isaiah listed at 317, and he's wanting to hit that 320, 325 mark by the season. That's that's doable. Very doable. So, size, length, a lot of stuff that they talked about. You got to have, and I think they're so much better because nobody in that group, on that offensive line group, they sick and tired of hearing the bullshit. Excuse my language, but they sick and tired of hearing it. So they've worked their ass off to be better. They got a lot of talent in that room. We got a lot more talent than what people think in that room, in that offensive line room. And with a quarterback like Mateer, getting the football out of his hands real quick, and a confident, receiver core, man, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be a lot different.
And Bill, I mean, I mentioned this to Jason when we were talking about the Arbuckle hire. When you think about the air raid and the kind of air raid mix going on, I mean, that's Bill's bread and butter.
That's his bread and butter.
I mean, he is the number one air raid O-line coach probably in the country, if you think about it. If you think about what he was able to do. So I think getting back for both him and Emmett Jones, Arbuckle being hired, it was like, all right, we're ditching this Baylor stuff. We're getting back to what we know, what we're able to do. I mean, I know exactly what he wants my wide receivers to be doing, and Bill's probably like, I know exactly what he wants. I can watch the Washington State film and know exactly what my O-line's going to do. There's no question about it. Nothing. This is Bill's like, this is all in my wheelhouse.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And that's where. I mean, if you look at it, me and Jason talked about this about a week ago. Man, you got On3 and you got all these other people. They're talking up. They're not talking down. I mean, after the Navy game, it was gloom and doom for Oklahoma. They just too far. They just got too far to go, and all of a sudden, bam, boom. Now everybody in the room talking about us. Because you make a hire like you do, you get a quarterback, you get a offensive coordinator, you get an old offense coordinator who's been a proven guy. You throw in a GM. You just start cooking, man.
The GM.
The GM. That's correct. I mean, you just start cooking, and now everybody in the living room smelling that cooking, man. And they starting to talk. So, man, damn, when is dinner gonna be ready? So that's kind of what's going on right now, man. It's like Thanksgiving dinner, man. Everybody's in there watching TV and everything. You got mom and grandma in the kitchen, and you start smelling that stuff come together. And everybody get to looking over in the kitchen and say, okay, yeah, it's going to be ready for long, So that's kind of what I think right now. I think that's the aroma that OU has with all the talking heads.
Yeah, if you saw Greg McElroy did his OU preview for ESPN, and he was like, I think he's pretty good at what he does, and he was like, "Whoa, OU's made serious upgrades, and really injuries were such a part of the problem last year that the injuries should return to some sort of mean, right? You just can't have no way we should have what we had last year. But I think I just think Arbuckle was a great hire because of the fact he blends well with the staff that OU has. Bill and Emmett, right? O-line and wide receiver. And apparently he's really clicked with DeMarco. DeMarco really likes him. I know some folks have some DeMarco issues, but all I can tell you is DeMarco's about to get us back Jonathan Hatton. If you want a recruiting tip from me on this show, I think OU gets Jonathan Hatton back in the fold. He's got a top 100 running back from Louisiana visiting this weekend. Jaden Miles, new name for me, 6'2", 210 back, really physical. And he's also got a five-star athlete from California visiting. His name's Honor Johnson for 2027. He's a running back. And a top 2028 running back will be on campus again this weekend, Micah Rhodes. He played with Cortland Guillory and was a star on that team as a freshman in the toughest area of Texas football, maybe. So DeMarco's still doing it recruiting-wise. Let's just hope with a better offensive coordinator and some little more guidelines, the running back rotation gets a little cleaner.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. Man, I couldn't be more excited about a running back room, man. Man, we got some dudes, man. I looked at them the other day, just on the film. Man, they all look healthy. They look like they look really good. The weight, I think everybody's went up in weight except for maybe what's his name, the freshman, playing
Taylor?
baseball. Taylor,
Taylor?
yeah. I think Taylor was the only one that didn't go up in weight. I think his weight stayed the same, but I think everybody else in that room has went up. Bulked up a little bit.
10 more pounds of X-Rob. That's not what.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not what.
Yeah.
Dude, man.
That's a business decision. He's rapidly becoming a business decision for quarterbacks and safeties. If you
man, he's
if
going
you get him out, get him in any space, he's gonna.
Yeah. X gonna bring it to you, bro. That's for real.
Give me more. Give me more.
Yeah, he's going. And I don't know how much Arbuckle is going to have any kind of decisions on who, how much time. I don't know how that stuff works, with the position coach. But it seemed to me, I think a lot of the fans was like, that OU didn't have a clear cut number one for a long time, and that's something that I've heard on the social media. But I think this year you can have. I think you don't have to. I think you have to have a clear cut number one, but you have to have a clear cut 1A also in college football now. I really think you have college football. You look at Ohio State; they had two guys that could get it, man, and they really brought it to you.
Yeah, I don't even think a workhorse back is even a thing anymore, man. Like it's pretty much known that you're gonna have two dudes, man, and we just got to figure out who those two dudes are. Shit, maybe even three. Who knows?
Yeah. So I'm confident we got two that can do it. Yeah, that's for sure. I know. And what surprised
I
me?
think we got three for sure. I think we got three for sure. Like
Yeah.
Barnes, Sawchuck, and X Rob. Like easy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, those three. Yeah, we got three that can do it. And then if those three man stay healthy, definitely. And don't get me wrong, I like Taylor Tatum, man. He's a different type back. He's a shiftier back. He catches the ball well out of the backfield, but he had that little fumbleitis problem this year. So hopefully, man, we can fix that, man. But he does bring a different aspect to the game than some of the other guys do because he's shifty, man. His jump cut is really great.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch his jump cut, man, I don't see nobody in that room with a better jump cut than him.
Yeah.
But
I thought the Blaylock kid was really underrated at a high school. He was 9 yards a carry in the district he was playing in. I mean, it was ridiculous. And he's enrolled early. He's, they say he's 5'11", 192. That's pretty good weight for a kid that has the burner speed that he has.
Yeah.
So, I could see him having a role too. So, I mean, you've got talent. Just let the cream rise to the top. So, I could see a transfer out of there. I was surprised Sam Franklin returned a little bit.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, we'll see how that plays out. But it's definitely, I definitely think the offensive coaches, from what I hear in the background, are very energized by Buckle. Arbuckle, when Arbuckle came in, he sort of got the guys back together and re-energized them after what was.
Oh, definitely, man. My Isaiah talked, about how he's just a good guy to be around. I mean, he's a football coach, you respect him, but he's a great guy. He's a sunshine to the locker room. Um, don't really know a whole lot about Seth Luttrell, but I do know that Arbuckle brings a little bit more of a spark, and he's a younger guy, so he's going to have that little bit of more of a spark than the older guy. But they really like him, man. He talks to him. I don't know if he's been in the meetings or anything, but just round the locker room, making conversation, and that's big. And you go to Mateer. Now, to me, coming from just having a few conversations with Isaiah about him, I was talking to Isaiah one day, and he was at the grocery store, and Mateer was in the grocery store. I'm like, "Who you talking to?" He's like, talking to John." It's like he just a country boy, man. He's like the guy that you bring to the barbecue, and he's gonna show up. He ain't just showing up to be showing up. He's showing up to come have a good time. He's gonna have some hard Mike lemonade or something with him, man. He's just that guy, you know. That and a lot of the guys is like, man, this guy is really cool. And when I'm saying cool, he is a guy who is like us. Like Ken Jamal said, they not like us. I just don't think Jackson Arnold was like us. I don't. I mean, I think he was a kid that was kind of distant. He was the Elite 11 guy. He was the golden boy. You got hound or hill or whatever you want to call that thing out there in Texas. That's the kind of guy Material is. He's just one of the guys, man. One of the guys that's a damn good football player. And that makes a lot. That makes kids want to fight for you. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it does. When you got that guy that's in your locker room, that's your homeboys, that he's gonna come, he's gonna bring some meat and put on the grill with you. He's gonna kick it with you. It's gonna be that situation. Jason, you'd have heard me say this. I remember playing Grambling, and we were down 2 touchdowns. McNair was on the sideline in street clothes. He goes back to the locker room and he hops out there on that field and he said, "Guys, just give me 3 seconds. Don't let them hit me." And everybody in that huddle was like, "Man, we got you." That's the type guy. But a quarterback that hangs out with you and he's your guy. He's just not somebody that you see when you get to the locker room. You
Yeah,
you go to you go to bat for that guy, and that's what you have in John Mateer.
absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
I,
the T
I think
Boomer comment's great there. I remember that was the one highlight I did watch. Is the QB was throwing, and like one of the QBs threw something to the dirt, and Arbuckle was like, "What the bleep bleep bleep?" And he was just,
Yeah.
get the ball up. Yeah,
Yeah. I seen that. Yeah. I remember that. I remember that
that
clip.
was
Yeah, that was
I was
pretty.
like, all right, that's pretty cool. I mean, but yeah, I mean, just we let's just say the offensive coaching staff sort of disintegrated last fall. It just did. No one knew
yeah,
what was going on. Game plans were not game plans. Were not game plans.
no
Things
communication, none of
it,
that shit.
it
It was
fell
all bad.
apart. Joe John did a little better job when he took over, but at that point, we were down so many wide receivers and offensive linemen. It
Yeah,
didn't.
it was snake bit, as the old people would say. It was snake bit.
Well, yeah, once that happened, but it didn't work. And apparently, as you said, Arbuckle is just a breath of fresh air and has re-energized Bill, DeMarco, Emmett, and what they're doing. I don't have a lot of none of my sources couldn't kind of give me any Joe John Finley info because they all thought he was getting fired last December. But they told me that the other guys were just they had my sources said the other guys are just super energized by what Buckle's done.
They are.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and go ahead and speak to that a little bit there, Coach. You just talking about you may have whenever I was in the bathroom, but I was just saying like what you're hearing about Arbuckle.
Yeah, we did that.
Okay.
We talked a good stint on that, man. It's just
I like it. No,
he's that guy, man. He's that guy that
Mhm.
that the kids want to be around and they want to learn from. Some people are unapproachable. And this day and time with kids, I run a program, you can't be unapproachable.
Right.
You got to be
Right.
approachable for kids to buy into um your system, to buy into just you as a person. They got to buy into you as a person first
Yeah.
before they buy into the system. And I think that's what you have with him. You have a person that comes around and he communicates with everybody, receivers, offensive line, running
Yeah.
backs, even kids on defense. Hey, how you doing? Just you gotta have that type of person. Locker room means a lot, and we talked about this last year. That locker room means a lot. I'm not saying the locker room was ever broke, but when you got those type guys in the locker room, and everybody, I heard some people talking about we don't have a leader. Man, I think we got a leader. I think we got a leader in John Mateer. I think we got a leader in Arbuckle and BV and Coach B. I think we got plenty of leaders on that staff. To lead this offense to where they need to be. It's just gonna take time, and nobody's sunshine pumping. I want to hear, man. They just talking this and talking that. But if you go and you look at the production of Arbuckle, of Mateer, of Nagy. Just look at the production that they have brought to everything that they have done. Then you got to say, okay, there's some
When
different
you
things going on.
talking about Arbuckle, I'm telling you now, I've seen every game that he coached as the offensive coordinator at Washington State. Every game. I love the way that they do things. I mean, when you've got a guy that's an air raid guy that'll line up in a jumbo set,
You know what that means? You know what
he's
that
not afraid
means?
to make changes.
You know
It
what
means
that
that
means?
he's
That
not
means he's
stuck
he
on a
he's
damn thing.
right. He's putting the team in the best situation. He's not a guy. Man, I'm an air raid guy. I don't do that. I've been at coaching clinics where coaches like, well, I run this. I don't do that. We
Cliff
we we
Kingsbury.
st- we stay we stay true to our identity. Man, damn that. You stay true to what's gonna get your ass in the end zone.
Hey, and even Leach would say that. I remember Leach talking about that Lincoln wasn't a real air raid guy anymore because he ran the ball too much.
Yeah, and I remember a couple years ago. That's kind of what we ran in high school. But we had one of the older coaches, man. He was the OC, and he was like, "We're going jumbo." I'm like, "Coach, we're going to run the." He said, "Man, we're going. They're not going to be expecting us to do this, and this is what we're going to do." We had a big package, and we was
Mhm.
playing a team that, man, they had been on our heels for a couple years. We couldn't beat them, couldn't get out of the district with them, and man, we went up there, and we did a few things, and man, we hit them with that jumbo package, and they wasn't ready for it, bro. We rushed for over 275 yards that game. And our guy was an air raid guy, but he also was a personnel guy, and that's what I feel like Arbuckle, he's a personnel guy. If he has the personnel to do something to throw you off your track, he's gonna do it. He's gonna put it in, you
Mhm.
know. And like I said, I think the tight end room, how he uses the tight end is gonna be what I'm really looking at. I'm a former tight end myself. And I'm just wondering, is he going to, because we don't have a AJ Howard or nobody like that. We don't have that type of prototype, I think, on the team. But I do think that you know he is going to use the tight end, H back, whatever you want to call it. I think he's going to use that to hit the guys in the flat, chip some guys, then roll out. I think he's going to do some different things with those guys. And I think that's one reason why they moved Canick. I think they feel like Canick can help him. You go look at his high school film,
Bro,
shit, man,
bro,
he's a dude, man, with that
he was
football in
a
his hand.
touchdown machine. Yeah, the touchdown machine in freaking
Yeah.
high school.
So I I think, just me looking, man, you got him, you got, like I said, Caden Helms look really good. I think those two, I'm not saying, I don't know what the situation with Mitchell. It might be they go some jumbo stuff, put Mitchell at tight end, have him blocking, have him going out on some routes. I just think it's so many things that you could do because that personnel at the tight end position is so different from player to player. So you can do a
Yeah.
lot of different things.
Yeah, it's yeah, O'Neal. It was Neilio. It was like Lincoln West out there, bro. The old sniffer eye, the triple option stuff, more or less, right? Right there, big dog at New Mexico State, Big Boganowski.
Yeah.
The old sniffer. No, listen, I think, man, I'm excited about that part of it for sure. Here's the other thing. I wanted to bring this up and get everybody to talk about this a little bit. First off, I enjoyed the 3 interviews, all 3 of them from Wednesday. You got to hear a lot from Jim Nagy. I liked hearing what we heard out of him. I loved hearing what we got from Mateer as well. He looked like he was, it didn't seem like it was too big for him. Now I know he did bring up the cameras at the start. Man, there's a lot of cameras in here, but he seemed to warm up to him awfully quick and have the right answers for all the questions that came his way. But I'll tell you the one that got me the most was Coach V. They're bringing it up, because y'all have heard, it's a huge red flag for him to have to go back to calling plays and blah, 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 blah. And what did he say? I'm good at this shit.
Yeah, he said, I'm good at it.
Because I'm good at it. I'm him, in other words. Because I'm him.
You got a lot of offensive coordinators that call their own offenses, man, in this league now. So, I mean, so, hey, somebody calling it on defense.
All the time, you don't hear it as much from defensive guys, but the truth is, he was like, I know that we can do that. Last year, I didn't call him, and we went 6-7. And I thought that was, I kind of took that as a little bit of a shot at Zach Alley, and rightfully so. Who cares?
It was a legit shot.
It was a shot. Yeah, it was a shot. Yeah. But
pow, pow.
I don't care. I was glad that it came. I'm glad that he said it. I'm glad that he stood there and was emphatic about it. I know what I can do. Yeah. What did you guys think about that? Big Bo, start with you.
I mean, I said it the other night, man. People are going to F around and find out. Like, and it goes back to the previous conversations. Like, just go ahead and kick us when we're down. You know what I mean? That's why the narrative is as such, because they don't want us to be OU again. They don't want us to be OU again. And let me tell you something, man. Listen, I'm not going to pump. All right. Maybe 2 pumps, not 3. All right. Maybe 2 pumps, not 3. But like we're scratching at the surface, dude. And listen, They don't want to see it. They don't want it. And just watch out, man. Like I'm just gonna sit back. I'm keeping receipts. I'm bookmarking. You know what I mean? And just waiting for my time, man. Just waiting for my time.
Lord have mercy. That's gonna be a surreal moment.
I think everybody should be holding them receipts, man, at this point. If you're an Oklahoma guy and you can see, if you're paying attention to what's going on here, you can see that they're, first off, this idea that they haven't recruited well is ridiculous to me. They were, top 5 3 years in a row, or top 10 3 years in a row, 3 cycles in a row. Yeah, they dropped back because they only got 18 guys this past year, but then they went and hit these guys in the portal that you had to have immediately make an impact. Somebody that you can't depend on them going and getting the guy that's going to be in the portal, or I mean, as a freshman out of high school, that's going to come in and immediately going to step up and be a starter. Michael Fasusi included. You can't expect that from him. He's a kid. He's a freshman, true freshman.
Jason,
now he's up to 300. Maybe he will get ready, but I think that's a lot to expect.
Right. But Jason, check this out. This is what I want people to understand. You go look at Ole Miss roster. They ended up having to go back and sign. I forgot how many they signed in the portal, but it was a hell of a number. You know what I'm saying? Because they're doing this crap every year. But what's going to bite a school like that? I'm not just talking about Ole Miss. What's going to bite a school like that is you have these numbers leaving, and what happens when that transfer portal is not fruitful, like it was 2 years ago when they got, Trey Harris and that bunch. So when that's so high school recruiting man, it means a hell of a lot. It still means a lot. People think you can build a team out the portal. I don't think you can build a championship team out the portal. I still think you have to have the roots of high school football to do that. Although you're not going to have the deeper uh, um, the deeper 1, 2, and 3, but I still think you got to have high school guys to build your base.
Well, what did you hear from Nagy and those guys the other day? 75-25 kind of deal, 70-30.
Yeah, so you gotta do that, man, and keep kids in the bay that you need. And that I think that goes along with the NIL.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt
Listen,
about
man,
it.
listen, like the BV being a D coordinator is, I mean, he was that anyway. You know what I mean? Whether or not you wanna give that to Zach Alley or whatever, bro, this Brent Venables defense. Like you just sit down and call some plays during the game, and I'll override you if I need to. But you sit here, you take credit for this defense, and go get you a head coaching job in a couple years. But like, bro, it's BV. It's his defense. Like he's probably the greatest defensive coach out there right now in the game, and I don't even think it's close. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And,
absolutely.
and
And think
if
about what
you
he said.
if you
My
hadn't
job
seen his little
30 years, he said. 30 years I've been coaching for my job.
yeah, let me tell you something. If you ever get a chance to go up in BV's office, go look at his little hardware drawer over there. His little glass case full of rings and watches from all the shit he's won. Like nobody's got that, bro. I'm trying to tell you that right now. Nobody has that. Like there may be some people with a little bit, but like you go over and look at that and you're like, God damn. You know what I mean? It's like it's codifying it, right? And you can see it with your own eyes instead of just hearing the stats and da da da. You go walk over there and you look at it, and
He
you're
just
like,
forgot
shit.
about all that shit. He just forgot how to do it all.
Yeah, bro, he don't have enough. He doesn't have enough fingers and toes to put all that shit on. I'm trying to tell you that. It's crazy, but like it. I mean, when BV announced it, like, yeah, I'm like, shit, he was doing it anyway, bro. Like, let's be honest with you, he was doing it anyway. Now he's just like, now BV's like, hey, I'm him. Like, I'm great at it. Now y'all have to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather he just be upfront about it. Like, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm doing, and let's just move forward, right? Everybody adjust and move forward. Let's just get going with it and go from there. So, I think Kevin Wilson will help on game day in terms of coordinating with Buckle and BV, and I think he'll play that Matt. I think he's going to do that Matt Wells role a little bit that we didn't have last year. So I think Kevin Wilson's going to slot in there and help. So. And I think Kevin Wilson's experience at Ohio State, at Oklahoma, everywhere else. I mean, it's not like he doesn't know big time football and how to be a resource for all that. So I think it made perfect sense. I love BV just being flat out blunt about it. I'm going to do it because I'm damn good at it, and we're going to win football games if I do it. All right, and the D. Again, the D on the hoof from those practice stuff just looks freaking awesome. So, we'll see.
They don't. I don't see how they get worse at that. I mean, they keep getting better guys. So, I mean, they know how to coach them. They know how, and they continue to get guys that are damn good. I don't know how you could get a whole lot better as far as the safeties are concerned. But you're talking about they're bringing in 5-star guys, whatever. That's great. I'm excited about it. Does it surprise me? No. Because Brandon Hall just continues to bring those dudes in. You just didn't know that some of these dudes were those dudes because, they're not at every camp and some of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And even though, Reggie's a top 100 guy, right? Reggie was a top 100 guy. Reggie Powers.
I think he got what? Did he get 100 or was it 150?
He was like in the top 150 range, depending on who's ranking. The main point about Hall,
he got a good bump at the end. He got a good bump.
Is that Hall's been recruiting well. And that guys are and developing well, and elite guys are starting to notice that. And maybe it doesn't make a difference, but if better tools for a better coach,
sure,
it works out well. I mean, Caden Hall, 6'3", 200, ran a 4.55 at a camp as a high school junior. That works, right? That fits. That's what we want. But yeah, I think Brent made the right decision. If you couldn't get someone like Jim Knowles, do it yourself. But and maybe down the road, an elite defensive coordinator will want to work for Brent and want to work for Jim Nagy and want to work with all that personnel he's been brought in, and Brent makes a different decision. But for now, this was the right call, and I think he's got enough help. I think the addition, Boganowski Sr. Do you know much about Nate Dreiling?
Yeah. Let me mark. Hold on. Let me. I want to say one more thing before I go to Coach Dreiling. I told y'all this before. Like after the bowl game, like I've never talked or seen BV after any game, right? And we're standing out there talking.
I remember this.
Standing out there talking. BV comes up and starts talking to us. And the BV that was talking to us was a different Brent Venables, right? Than what I've been used to seeing. There was drive, fire, motivation, and
the nice guy was gone. The nice
I'm
guy.
gonna show these He's like, I'm finna show these what's popping. And him saying that the other day in the press conference, I'm calling plays because I'm good at it. That was just a glimpse of what I saw after the bowl game. You know what I mean? So, like, dude, I'm trying to tell you, man. Let BV let this thing pop, man. BV gonna talk his shit, and it's gonna be amazing, and I'm gonna love it. And I'm here for it. But Coach Dreiling, right? Yeah, I know Coach. He was at New Mexico State, my alma mater, and he took a terrible defense and turned that shit around. I think it was like 36 in the nation in total defense that one year. That was his first year. Obviously he had a ball coach, Coach Kill, and at the head coach.
Who's a real coach? He's a real ball coach, man.
Yeah,
Jerry Kill.
I hated when he left, man. It hurt. It hurt my heart. Had 2 years of quality football down there, and man, yeah, that hurts. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he had Tim Beck as the offensive coordinator, and he went to Vandy. And Coach Dreiling left. Like I wanted Coach Dreiling to be the head coach when Coach Kill left. That was my choice. That's who I wanted. And when I made my little contribution donation, I put that in the notes. But
they didn't
see it.
You know
they
what,
didn't
Mike?
See it when I made my donation.
I had a conversation with a guy. The guy that was talking about OU was just too far to catch up within a couple of years. Talking about the quarterback situation. I was like, okay, go look at what Vandy did with a quarterback from New Mexico State.
Oh yeah,
and some more coaches. And I guarantee you, Vandy didn't have as much around. Their guys that what we have around our guys.
Yeah.
And he froze like a block of ice because he didn't think about that.
Poke holes in their shit, bro.
Yeah.
But like Nate Dreiling, dude, like Neilio's making a great point, dude. That dude was everything at Pitt State, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so he's got cred in that linebacker room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great dude. He recruited my son when he was coming out. Had some conversations with Coach Dreiling. And people worry about Coach Dreiling and his recruiting prowess. Trust me, Coach Dreiling will be just fine. He can recruit just fine. And especially he'll have a little bump with that OU on the chest when he walk in a room now, right?
Well, he already is making – I'm glad you gave this feedback because I'm glad you were able to talk about Dreiling, a little personally because it was a little understated hire because of the whole Knowles mess. Mm-hmm. So I think the quality of hire kind of went under the radar when you saw – Dreiling's kind of defensive mentors, and you saw, Jerry Kill is one hell of a damn coach. I mean, he's like, if not for the illness stuff, Jerry Kill is like Hall of Fame college material, right? Yes. How well he coached. He's like a Bill Snyder, right? Kind of guy,
dude,
right?
Dude, Jerry Kill is one of the best coaches in America, without a doubt.
So I love me some Coach Kill, bro.
Yeah, and I loved you bringing that to the forefront because I told Jason when the alley stuff was happening, sort of, and off the mic, like Alley's not recruiting worth a crap right now at linebacker. We didn't sign anybody. He didn't get anybody last year. You can already see Dryling's starting to get kids on campus. We have two five-star caliber linebackers officially visiting this summer. If you can get just one of them, those guys are like Kenneth Murray, kind of guys. They're Rufus Alexander, Lance Mitchell kind of linebackers. They're the beast linebackers, that you remember BV always having. Those guys, they look great. And then other guys are starting to pop up as well. It just looks like the Dryling hire has maybe been underestimated, and maybe there may be some serious receipts for Coach Dryling come signing day, and also just with the play this fall.
Well, it's like the same thing with like recruiting or hiring coaches. Like everybody wants to recycle, these big name coaches. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to sign the big name in the portal or whatever. Like, go find you a dude, right? Go find you a dog, whether that's a player. I don't care what level he's at. If he's at Arkansas State, Arkansas Pine Bluff, like whatever. Like if he's a dude, it's clearly obvious that Nate Dryling is a dude, right? Like come on, man. 4-time All-American, led the nation in tackles. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't care if you're at small town state or Pitt State. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a damn. Like, you can play some ball. And and you heard Coach Venables say he was recruiting him. He was just a step slow. You know what I mean? In his eyes, but maybe he made a mistake. I kind of referenced that, but yeah, man, Coach Dryling, he's hungry, man, and he's got to drive. And Coach Venables said it. Like he told him, he's like, I'll walk to Norman. He's like, I don't give a damn about a title or the money. He's like, I want to be in Norman, and those are the dudes you want. Right? You don't want big fat cat sitting on 10, 20 million and don't really have to give it his all. And that's how I look at it, man. And I feel like that's how, how BV looks at it, man. He said every day he comes to work like his job's on the line, and that's how he's been rolling for 30 years. Yeah. And you got to have like-minded individuals, man. You can't get too comfortable. And then that's on anything in life, man. You can't get too comfortable. You can't get too comfortable at your job. You know what I mean? And you got to – this is like one of my favorite sayings, like you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And that's always one of my favorite things, man. And because it's true. It's true as hell, man. It's so true.
You definitely have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's something that BV talked to us, about when Isaiah was being recruited. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. It's going to be some days you don't want to go, but you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Every year, bro. There's one national champion every year. If this shit was easy, everybody would do it, and it wouldn't mean shit.
Correct. I mean, that's the thing. That's why I say off season, man. I give everybody wants you want to leave a little room, man. I give them a freaking A+ on everything they have done since that Navy loss up to now, man. It's been you can't name a program that has jumped like we have when it comes to interior stuff, like the hires that we have made. There's nobody else in the country. I really don't think. If it is, please tell me, because I don't think it is.
I mean, the only program I think that had a better offseason would be Penn State picking up Jim Knowles. At DC,
and I understand
at DC to go with Koltanecki at OC.
Wait, did Penn State get some receivers? Did they get anybody that can
okay. Yeah, you're right.
Did they get a what I'm saying is overall.
No, I'm just talking coaching wise.
Yeah, but they got two guys.
Yeah.
True, they got two guys. But I put BV up against any DC.
So, no. I'm just talking about like upgrades. I think OU's upgrades overall.
Yeah, upgrades. But I'm just talking about as a program.
Yeah. No, I think OU had a better. If the only program I think that could really say, hey, we got better would be Penn State could say, well, we got Jim Knowles to go with Colton Ecke, and maybe that can overcome the fact that James Franklin is our head coach.
You really don't like James
Franklin? No, I mean,
I don't like James Franklin. I think James Franklin.
Man. I had a couple of my friends, a couple of their kids played for him, man, and he's a different dude, man. I'm just gonna say that, not gonna say anything back. And because I don't know, because my kid didn't play for him, but I do have a couple friends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like game day. He just seems to,
Yeah, got a stick up his butt. I know.
I mean, he's not the worst game day coach in America. He's not, my
definitely
friend,
not the best. Yeah.
He's not my friend down in Miami who is the worst game day coach in America. But so.
Oh wow.
Jason's heard my shtick on this before, so I'd hit you guys with it. But yeah, I mean,
I like to hear that one day, bro.
But yeah, I mean, I think you're right when you talk about Arbuckle, basically Dreiling, and then adding Goodwin and Wilson as additions behind them as well. I mean, that's a lot of experience, a lot of talent that you added to the coaching staff. And I think Arbuckle and Wilson is the two guys you add. That's massive right there in terms of the because the offense was really the bigger disappointment last year. So I think to add those two guys, to get Kevin Wilson on the cheap as an analyst with all his wealth of knowledge, especially about how to run the air raid and the stuff. Some of the stuff Buckle does looks very Kevin Wilson like. So, from back in the day. So I think it was a huge upgrade. And I think I'm the recruiting high school guy. Our high school recruiting class was way underranked.
Oh yeah, I think
Blaylock, Marion Robinson, C.J. Nixon, Trent Wilson, who apparently is 300 pounds already and looks like a block of granite as a high school freshman. Everybody interviewing him.
Nobody's really talking about that kid either a whole lot. And man,
I've been talking about him. That kid, bitch is like a goddamn wall, bro.
Yeah,
he's a grown ass man, dude. A grown ass man,
and he's got a burst, man. He's in the backfield before you freaking know it as well.
Looks like he's 40 years old already, bro. Look at that guy.
And then you got the corners, Guillory, Hawkins, and Haynes. Yeah. And I love the linebacker kid. I'm forgetting his name right now, who didn't enroll early. The Carl Albert kid. That kid has a huge ceiling. The other Carl Albert kid. So I like the class, and James. Is it James? I'll pull it up here.
Okay.
I can't remember the name, but he was the guy that he was the other Carl Albert guy. He's badly underranked.
Shit, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I'll have it in 2 seconds here. He's not enrolled early, but Marcus James. So he's 6'4", 220, and he runs all over the field. I just think this class was badly underranked. I mean, Wimberly at safety also looks like look really good. And I think it's coming out. Elijah Thomas was like a top 50 player in the country. It's starting to come out that that's the case. I mean, that kid from Chakotah was just unreal. And you got people they got him like ranked 162 in the nation, and he's like a top 50 kid.
Right. And that's the point. Noid, you're saying this stuff, and you're going to stay in this top 5 stuff, and you're going to, you sound like damn Sooner Cowboys in here right now. So many of the guys from the 24 class were completely underrated. Jaden Jackson was a freak freshman All-American. That guy didn't deserve to be a top 100 5-star guy. Eli Bowen, freshman All-American, didn't deserve to be a top 100 guy. Come on, man.
Well, even Danny Okoye, who who was ranked 160 in the 160s by 2 of the services, and one didn't even rank him in the top 200. I mean, give me a break.
Right.
Everyone looks at him now, and the buzz is that he's set for a breakout year. And if he has a breakout year at defensive end to go with RMT and how good Marvin Jones looks,
Right.
That's
Devon Mitchell was the number one guy in the state of California for the past class, 25. He moves up a year, he drops out of the top 100. That's it. So he's not a 5-star talent now because he moved out for a year. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
you have to. There's context that goes with a lot of this shit that people forget about ever looking at. They don't want to. They want to simplify it to, well, these guys say this and that and that's, we're not going to win a natty now. It's come on, fellas. Come on now.
Eli Bowen, the number 500 player in the nation, and the number 50. There were 54 cornerbacks higher rated than Eli Bowen, according to On3.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Bro, we all know what On3 is, dude.
Yeah, we do. But I'm just saying, the other services weren't any better, though. I mean, 247, he's the number 58 player in the nation.
They don't get them all. They miss as much as, and I think they miss a lot more than the coaches miss on when they evaluate.
And see, that what really gets me. We talked on my show about that evaluation stuff, man. And it just happened again. The other day we had a kid here at Tupelo who was a potential 5-star. Now he's a 3, but he's a 4 everywhere else, and he has every offer in the country. And you got a running back here, J.J. Hill, who is probably one of the best running backs in the country, has every offer that he wants. And they got him as a mid-3, man, and he rushed for 2,000 yards last year at a 7A high school, the largest high school in the state of Mississippi. But
there's no talent. There's no talent in Mississippi, Coach.
Oh,
Ben.
Yeah.
Mississippi doesn't have any talent.
Yeah, that's what they say.
I mean, draft day, you don't see Mississippi players, high school players from Mississippi being drafted left and right.
Yeah. You see one in the Super Bowl just tear it up.
I mean, come on. There's no talent in Mississippi. Everybody knows that.
Per capita, Mississippi and Louisiana is top in the country. And so, how you do that, because I think some of these guys are just lazy. They had to they said, even with Isaiah, it was like, well, he didn't go to Rivals. He didn't go to this. He didn't go to that. Number one, he had turf toe. We just didn't want him to go because we didn't want to make it worse. And he had already committed to OU. And he dropped from a 4 to a 3. And they was like, well, we just didn't see him enough. Well, damn, they paying you. You can come to a game. You can turn the film on.
But then he plays great in the high school game, the Mississippi-Alabama game.
Oh yeah, he won the award.
And so why don't you take that data point and update your evaluation?
And they made him the highest 3-star in the country. What they did. What was crazy, man, and you got guys that, that's going to Alabama, that's going to Georgia, there's some of the top guys in the country, and you dominate, but you still don't get that ranking because, hey, look, he didn't come to our deal.
Same about Michael Hawkins. He had 50, 60 touchdowns his senior year. No, and he was way low rated, still a 3-star by most accounts.
So, this is what I tell people about the rankings. And me and you talked about this, Jason. The rankings are out there, and these alumni that pays money, they want that class, and they pay money for that star rating. A star rating does not produce on the field. Now, and I'm not saying because you're a 4-star, you're not going to. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is this right here. Everybody's got so caught up in the stars because that's what they pay the kids by.
Right. Yeah, and there's only 32 5-star guys, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? So we're talking 32 of those cats.
Man, I'm just looking at what Mike put on. Man, this dude is crazy.
What?
Retired soldier, watched up to dude, you man.
He lay, dude.
I just not noticed that, man. You crazy, bro. You're crazy, man.
Yeah, the On3 thing that always killed me was like the middle of the 24 cycle, they dropped Jeremiah Smith to like the number 70 player in the nation.
Yeah.
And it's like Jeremiah Smith.
Players?
I was like, what the hell are you doing? The guy is like maybe the best player in the country. What the hell? And then they moved him back up. So I'm like, So my comment was like, so are you right now or are you wrong now? And if you are completely wrong, what makes me think that you are now right? And they don't have they have no rigor, they have no transparency to their processes. That's the thing I would always hit rivals on. Who's doing the evaluating? How are they evaluating them? And when did they last evaluate them? Give me those 3 pieces of data for every kid, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah, and that's true, man. That's something. So let's talk a little bit about the evaluation point. And I make a big point, and if you don't know, I'm a 707 guy. I have a 707 organization, and I was just talking with a coach who is a totally against 707, and his biggest thing was like, you don't get anything out of it. I said, well, you telling me a quarterback who's at a 3A school who doesn't see the talent that he's going to see at some of these meets, that he only has 3.5 seconds really to throw the football against elite talent. He got to make a decision. What coverage are they in? All these kind of different things that he has to process. You tell me that doesn't help you. I said, what do you do during the off season? When y'all do pass scaling and stuff like that up to the school, it's the exact same thing. You're just not going against your buddies every day. You're going against top talent. And
What
some
do
of
you
these
mean by
evaluators that come when they go to these camps, they run their 40s, they do the shuttle, they do this right here. And I'm gonna tell y'all guys, some of these guys that rank, some of them don't even go through all that stuff. They pull them off to the side and they get an interview from them. A lot of they might go 1 or 2 reps and they picking who they're going against and they up out of there, bro. I
Yeah, I
see it a
mean,
lot.
a lot of cherry picking. Where you're going to go? How often you're going to compete?
Right.
I mean,
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking
once
about.
I get and the other big factor is like Jaden O'Neal. He doesn't really need to go to any events right now, right?
No,
He doesn't have
no.
to. He'll go to Elite 11 because that
It's the Elite 11.
it's Elite 11. But he's not going to. He went to the LA Rivals tournament. I mean, I always gave Mike Hawkins credit last spring that he went to everything he could to get better and to be critiqued, right? And that happened. They dinged his ranking because he went to every event to try and get better to work on his game. And then to Jason's point, then they didn't re-rank him when they looked at his senior year, when his senior year film was so much better than his junior year film.
Oh
It was
man.
night and day, and they never re-ranked him. I'm like, you tore him apart because he worked at his game in the spring by
Mhm.
going to everything he could to soak up all the coaching and all the events to work on everything. And then he played so much better. I mean, he was a one-man gang against South Oak Cliff for crying out loud. Team with like 5 D1 defenders. He's keeping those guys in the game, and they took him to like the state to the like the playoff semifinals until they finally lost. It's like, why isn't he getting re-ranked? Why are you not re-ranking him based upon his senior film? And then you have the funny thing is where, like for Fasusi, they had him as like the 4th offensive tackle in the country, which is still ranked high. And then he goes to the All-Star game and dominates the other offensive tackles there. And they're like, oh, we think Michael Fasusi's the number 1 offensive tackle in the country. It's like, well, it's January 15th. Thanks for the bump. Could have used that, with the early signing day. But it's just
Yes.
funny. They finally realized, oh, he went to our All-Star game. Man, he's really good. He is the best tackle in the country.
It happens like that, bro.
Yeah, like no shit, dude. Which is what I've been telling you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the case with those writers. And here's the thing. We had a kid, Caleb Cunningham, he dropped from a 5-star to a
Yeah, yeah,
4-star.
yeah.
And I know, been knowing the kid for forever. And it was because he didn't go play in a freaking game, bro.
Yeah, he played basketball with his boys and won a state championship. And
Well,
so
they
because
didn't. I don't know if they won the state championship or not, but he was playing
I thought you
basketball.
said he did. Yeah.
No, he's an
Okay.
all-state basketball player. He could go anywhere playing
Right.
basketball.
Okay.
And he had like a little knee issue, but it wasn't going to stop him from playing. And he didn't go, and I
Watch
heard
that
from the
film. Watch
I
that
heard
film
it
and tell
from the
me
guys.
dude ain't a 5-star. Is all I got to say about that. That's
Yeah, yeah.
great.
Well, I mean,
What's
On
the
three
name?
was playing games with their 5-star wide receiver rankings all last year.
Yes, they were.
I mean, like the Lockett
Yes, they
kid
were.
that signed with Texas, he's a good player, but really, is he better than Manny Choice? The film don't say that.
Nah, film does not say that.
I mean, and then the other guy they got, the French kid, I think is probably a 5-star kid. Okay, I could buy that. But the other guys they were moving in and out, I'm like, okay, come on.
They're dropping kids for all kind of different reasons, man.
And they're raising
It ain't
kids
all
out of
about
nowhere.
talent. Yeah,
And they're raising
out of
kids out
nowhere.
of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
so you either didn't you so that's the problem I had with their process. You're either right now or you're wrong before. So if you were wrong before, why was I listening to you then? And why do I think you're right now? And
Well, when I asked them that question, you know what the response I got? Well, reevaluate. That's what, and then there are kids that emerge. So I asked that same question, and it's like, well, when we reevaluate and we get other kids that emerge, then so what you're saying is you didn't know about this kid. No, we knew about him, but we just went and reevaluated him and bumped him. So and I'm like, you're not doing that much.
not that big a
Yeah,
distance.
kids not making that big of a difference, bro.
No.
Not in a season.
Not in the spring. Not when he's not playing any
No,
football.
right? Exactly.
I mean, they dinged Jaden O'Neal because he had a bad day one 7-on-7 at the big Miami event.
Yes.
And then he dominated the next day. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe he was a little rusty and he's just flown across the country playing with kids that aren't in his area.
Man, and that dude, that happens so much. I
Right.
see that. Especially, look, guys, I'm gonna tell you this. And as a 7-on-7 guy, you don't play at 8 o'clock in the morning. Those kids are not ready to go. I'm just being honest with you guys. I've never had a team that came out and dominated at 8 o'clock in the morning. Man, they're always dragging because you can tell them jokers to go to sleep. Man, they got this freaking phone and everything else, and they're gonna be up, and you make sure they're in their room, and then him having a day like that and coming back, you should have been saying, okay, man, because they don't take none of that kind of stuff, and just and most of these kids he probably hadn't played with before.
Well, they were his buddies, but he doesn't play with them regularly because he's out in L.A. And they're from
Right.
Florida. And they were from Florida. His wide receivers were from Florida, Georgia, and like North Carolina.
Yeah, and see, that's what I'm saying, man. Those type things that matters, man. That matters a whole
But
lot.
day two, he's
He
dominating.
lights it up.
He's
He
like,
lights it up.
but it's the day one that concerned him. I'm like, and then he said some BS about his high school footage, and I'm like, you're talking about games he didn't play. Like, well, his games in November were iffy. He didn't play in November. It's like, you're giving me a contradictory piece of information there. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I hope to see him next weekend at Battle. Yep. So hey, man, it is what it is, man. I understand exactly where you're coming from with that. I've seen kids, come to these 7-on-7 events, and just because one guy beat him on a route or something like that, man, they sitting there, oh man, he ain't what I thought he. Because they don't do the homework. Sometimes they're in more of a infatuation type of deal than sitting there actually studying the kid. And I'm not saying all of them are not like that, but some of the younger reporters, you can tell the guys who've done it for a while, and you can tell some of the guys who's just new to it, and they hire those guys to make evaluations that really changes a lot of them pocketbooks. To be honest with you, bro, and me and Jason, we didn't did a show on that, man. The thing about it is, you take a kid that's a good kid, 4-star kid, solid 4-star kid, and you get pissed because he doesn't come to a camp or doesn't come to an event or he doesn't pick up the phone when you call him to get an interview, and you bump him, because that happens.
A
And
lot.
now that school that he's locked in with, they're gonna, I don't care, guys, every school is not the same. They will use that against them. So, well, man, we think you dropped a little bit. They're not gonna say you dropped on 3 or you dropped on 24/7. They're just going to tell you that. And then in the back of your mind, because you did drop a little bit in on 3 or 24/7, whatever it is, now that's an opportunity for them to take less, to give you less money. And that happens. I've seen that happen.
So one last comment before I bolt. So Jason,
Right.
somebody is convincing the top 2027 kids that the NIL money is not going to be there in 2027. Because so far,
Do tell.
so Richard Wesley, the number 2 player in the nation, just reclassified to 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Boobie Feaster, the top wide receiver, number 4 in the nation, just reclassified to 2026. Mark Bowman, the best tight end in 2027, just reclassified. The number 2 cornerback just reclassified the number 1 running back. So 5 of the top 10 recruits for 2027 have all moved to 2026. And you cannot tell me all 5 of those kids are ready to jump a level. This is NIL. Someone is telling them, some agent is telling, or somebody's got a hold of these kids and saying, you need to move now because in 2027, after the house settlement or whatever, the NIL money is not going to be there.
Bro, I don't know if I did that house, man. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
That's crazy.
NIL, with that NIL, you just tell them, hey, man, I need you to jump to 2027 because that might not be there, and I might not be able to make a big percentage off you. So hurry up and jump in that.
Well, exactly. It's like, well, we know Sam Bradford was always going to jump, right? Because he knew the NFL salary cap for quarterbacks was coming, and he got the last big rookie quarterback contract, right?
Yeah,
Sam did. So I think someone's telling these guys this because, really none of these guys, maybe the Feaster kid is ready to jump, but if I wouldn't want, I think D-line reclassifying is just dangerous.
16 and 17 years old, bro.
You don't want to be in the trenches that year early. Cornerback, a running back, I wouldn't do that.
Body not ready. Now, one thing, Coach, this is one thing you have to look at. Some of these kids that's reclassified, some of them might have reclassified in high school and set themselves back.
That's true.
Some of them might be going to their class.
They're genuinely in the right class.
Yeah,
now.
to get in that right class, because I've seen that happen. They reclassify in the 8th grade, and then they get to the 11th grade and say, okay, everything is going really good. I want to catch up with my guys, go make this money. I reclassify. I get out of there with the guys. It was just So it could be some of that. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but that could be some of the equation also.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's top 5 of the top 10 kids, though.
Yes, I got
five stars. Legit.
Hey, money, bro.
All right, Jason, I got to bounce. Thanks, man.
Hey, man, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you get over there and check out Chris Mason on Sooners 360. Hey, appreciate all the intel, man. It's always good to have you on, bro.
Bye-bye.
All right, brother. Later. Chris Mason from Sooners 360. Appreciate having him on. Scoot over just a shade, bro.
Bro, I'm tired. I was just leaning to the left, bro.
You're on the lean. Yeah. You guys are
hey, like when you're old wash, you got to lean. Sometimes you got to move to make sure that back stays loose and get comfortable.
Yeah, you and me both. I had to get a comfortable chair, man. Hey, age catch up with you, bro. That's for sure. Yeah, man. But I think I think Coach made a bunch of good points. Say what that, Jason?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of this talk about Bentley versus Jaden O'Neal in the chat now, which I knew was coming. Hey man, I think I don't think you can really go wrong with either guy. I think that the guy that they're going to get though is the guy that's already been committed for a year and is already recruiting for him, and now is moving to Oklahoma. As was announced yesterday. And guys, the kid that I'm saying Bowe isn't it. To me, I don't see it happening. He's getting all this heat right now on the trail as it is. He doesn't have a better arm. He's got a really good arm. I'm not saying he's bad. But Jaden O'Neal is not just a straight pocket passer. He's not just a straight pocket passer either. The dude can play. Yeah. The dude can run. I think, and you're not teaching 6'4". You're not teaching 6'4" and that size.
You got that Vince Young body type, man.
Man,
I can see that body type.
He's a baller, dude. So it is what it is. I think that you have to pick your poison here. If you wanted that guy, you needed to go get him. And I think it was a good answer. What you guys were saying a little bit earlier was, because I was asking, well, why are they offering him if they've already got Jaden on board? If they don't, if they don't have a problem with what Jaden is, or maybe Buckle didn't like him, I don't know. My question is, but I think it was a good answer. What you guys said earlier was, well, they probably thought they were going to get, a little 2-for-1 there, because nobody really thought that highly of him until just recently. He has shot up the ranks,
right?
Shot way up the ranks,
and they'll keep that offer out there. Yeah, they'll keep that offer out there just for the sake. But I think they know who they are. With O'Neal, just a talking piece of all it is right now. They're driving up the price of other guys.
True. Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of that going on. I mean, they're all hustling for their spots and their money and everything else, and I don't blame them for that necessarily. No, but I think it's become pretty clear that because OU was the first big time school to really offer him.
Yeah,
it wasn't until after that everybody else jumped in. Ohio State and LSU and all them other guys, Florida State.
Man, I call it the Saban effect. Now, I watched so many kids come to camp at Alabama and get an offer from Alabama, then everybody offer them. And then they jump from just having a 24/7 profile to a 4-star kid. So yeah, that happens when you don't have anything out there like that and you get an offer from OU. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly how it goes, right? Until you get that first big offer, you don't get another one. You know what I mean? You have to. Nobody's really looking.
I got a kid right now that I think is going to blow up, and he doesn't have the big time offer. He doesn't have an offer right now, but after a couple of camps and different things like that, because you can't teach 6'5", 190 pounds that could almost touch the top of the backboard. He's playing receiver, and this is just his second year playing. So once people see that, that athletic ability, I mean, he's going to jump off the chart.
Never going to find. Yeah, you'll never.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm trying to get some of these. I told his parents, just be patient, because when it starts, when it rains, it pours. Your phone is not going to stop ringing. And so
it'll come.
Yeah, definitely, it's going to come, man. He's one of those kids that's hungry, and just because he got a chip on his shoulder, plays at a school that really doesn't put out a whole lot of guys. So, like I say, it is. Now, I have man, I got at least I got 9 kids. I think 8 or 9 kids that got invites to the UA down in New Orleans this weekend. So I'm thinking after that New Orleans deal down there this weekend, you're going to see some different stuff from On 3 and some of the other ones. And of course, they're the UC report with ESPN, and nobody really looks at that ESPN ranking. But you have other guys down there also with On 3 and 24/7 and all the rest of them. So I'm kind of waiting till after that happens this weekend, because I think you'll see some kids in the Louisiana, Mississippi, and maybe even the Texas area probably make a jump after this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, he talked about, Brendan Arrington coming in. Brendan Arrington, that corner, or he's an athlete out of California, obviously 5-star guy. Edmonds, another cornerback that's a 5-star guy. Some of these guys are starting to, apparently Brandon Hall starting to make even more noise.
Yeah, man. Brandon Hall he's that dude, man. And what I like about Brandon is he's just so comfortable in where he is and what he's doing. He's not trying to I'm not saying he won't take a defense coordinator job, but I think he's comfortable. He's kind of like Coach B. He's comfortable where he's at. I think that's one of the things about him that's going to attract a lot of guys. Like he's not trying to leave. This is where he is. He got his boots on the ground right here in Norman. So I think that weighs a lot with a lot of recruits. And you can tell it right now in the guys that they're bringing in, this weekend and coming to camps and different things like that, man. So, yeah, Brandon is the guy. I just think I think he's underrated, as a recruiter and as a coach. But, from what I've seen, he's an A+ dude.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to this, I mean, I don't think anybody here is talking bad about Bowe. I think Bowe is. I watched this film. I see it. He looked really good. They were undefeated, won the state championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
looked good.
He's a heck of a quarterback, man.
Thing, though, it's a timing thing that they've had this locked up with O'Neal for a long time now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here's the thing. Mike said it earlier. You're not going to get two quarterbacks that caliber in the same class. Nowhere in the country, I don't think.
Like two top.
If you did, you're fostering division in the locker room with two guys like that, right?
Well, here's the thing on the money. Look at the money.
Yeah. Again,
pay that.
Yeah, and Noyd, you're one of the guys that was talking earlier about we don't have the money. We're poverty you, I guess, according to what you were saying earlier. But we want to go get him, but I mean, you're not getting both. You're not getting both, and you got one that just moved to Oklahoma. So I think the writing's on the wall. It's not that I don't think that Bowe would be great. I think he might. Hell, he might be. I just don't know. I don't think you're going to get them both. And the other thing is we're talking years down the road now. Mateer could stay another year.
Yeah, we talked about.
We were just talking about this last night, and I think we should. I mean, it's worth noting if they go to the CFP, they contend for. Let's say they contend for the SEC championship, get in the college football playoff. Then Mateer's out, because that means he's probably going to be a Heisman finalist, right? I know you didn't say poverty. I'm just busting your balls. Relax. But he's probably going to be a Heisman finalist, at least pretty close to it if they're competing for the CFP this year, because that's going to mean, and especially in everybody else's eyes that thinks OU sucks.
That's going to mean 9+.
Yeah. It's going to mean 9+. It's probably going to mean 10. But in the end, that's probably going to get him out. If they only win 8, because they haven't developed to the point that they're ready to go that next level, then yeah, you might get him a second year. And I can see that happening. Or even if they win 9 and they don't get in the playoff, I can see him coming back, because now you're right there in the mix of getting in the playoff. Depends on, he may not grade as a first rounder. It would probably behoove you to go back, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't get to the playoff and don't get that grade. Mm-hmm. I can see that happening. I also could see the things happening that allows you might end up seeing Hawkins anyway. I'm just going to repeat this one more time. I'm not in the camp that believes that Michael Hawkins is just going to sit down and let this go on. You know what I mean? I think he's going to compete for it. And if you get it, you never know what could happen with injuries. Mateer likes to run. Things happen sometimes. If he gets his opportunity again, and he's actually has some development throughout this, 9 months since, they hired Arbuckle and everything else, you may not ever see the other guys come back in. This is how, you never know. That's how jobs get changed hands often. You know what I mean? Or injuries and things like that. And the other guy steps up and gets it done.
Yeah. That happens, but like I say, I think Hawkins is kind of looking at his development right now with the coaches. I really do. I think he's getting more coaching right now.
Repeat on him.
So what now?
Is Coach Dent? It's like he's on like repeat, like delayed double.
No, I'm not seeing it.
Is that my end?
I think it's on.
I'm hearing it. I'm hearing myself.
Yeah, I'm hearing
you. You sound good. You sound good.
I'm gonna hop out real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on. So do you stay with O'Neal if Bowe continues his progression his senior season and O'Neal doesn't? I mean, I don't know that I really see that as a thing, but I guess I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
Were you guys hearing an echo?
I just did then.
I didn't hear anything like that. Let me see something.
Yeah, might have been me.
I mean, I haven't changed anything on my
No,
desk.
I don't hear nothing crazy. Here we go with that. Here we go with
It's
that.
definitely echoing.
Is it still doing it?
Mm-hmm.
No, Anelio says it's fixed.
I don't know.
Okay.
I can still hear myself a little.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing an echo. Let me see something. Let me check the settings again in here. Shouldn't be. Let me get rid of all these streamings. See, maybe that's it. I had it pulled up. I was looking at all the different ones. Folks, make sure you hit that like button. It may be echoing because not enough people been hitting the like. I think that's it.
Dude, maybe people ain't seeing it because you shadow banned, bro. I just sent you a piece. I just sent you another film. I'm gonna show. Hey, you need to look at the bullshit, bro.
I mean, you're echoing bad.
What'd you just say?
We're both echoing like on what?
So are you.
I'm not hearing it.
I'm not hearing
I'm not
Jason,
hearing
but I'm hearing me and you.
Yes. Sabotaging them, bro. He hating on us.
Yeah,
Trying to
man.
censor it.
Not enough likes. Not enough likes. Like Kimberly K says.
Yep.
Yeah.
I muted and came back. Still echoing.
Yeah. Shit, I
Oh,
might
no,
not
maybe
get
try.
off anyway. Your boy gotta go get a swell on.
Yeah, I'm finna go to the gym myself.
Yeah, we've been going over 2 hours. It's about that time either way.
Back and buys today.
I hear you, man.
You know,
I'm not getting that going in here, so that's kind of concerning for me when I'm not even getting it in here. But if you're getting it on the other end, that's worrisome. But we've already been going for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Coach didn't tell everybody how to find, man.
Man, you can go to the Gridiron Insight, look me up on Twitter, Marcus Dent 93, and just shoot me a text or what. Say you heard me on Rise and Shine College Football. Hey, look, man, I'll follow back. That's one thing I do. You know, so just hit me up and let's talk football.
Sorry. Yeah. I ain't nobody. Just washed up, bro. Washed.
Come on now.
This dude is crazy, man.
Oh man, he's our morning co-host all the time. You know where to find Big Mike. He's gonna be right here.
And them Twitter streets.
Yeah, and in them Twitter streets, he's out there deep in them streets.
Yes, sir.
Deep in them streets. So yeah, man, we appreciate everybody coming in. Appreciate you guys both for joining me all week as you have. And we'll talk more on Monday, folks. Maybe I'll do one later on. Maybe either tonight or tomorrow night. We'll do a late night one, but we got some stuff working for the future coming up with Coach Dent. We got some cool stuff coming up, so excited about that. Yeah, we might. Yeah, I think we're gonna do it this weekend, man. I think we're gonna do it this weekend there, Neilio. All right.
Late night
yeah,
tip.
guys.
I said the late night tip.
The late night tip is fun, man. You guys got to check that one out. It's always a lot of fun. So you get a few different folks in there to do it, but it's cool though. It's
been on that yak.
Yeah, a little something like that. But hey, it's cool though. Well, all right, man. We will see you guys all on the next one. Throw 'em down.